You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austen Show.
Oh, yeah, it is. Well, when we left here at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, we knew the countdown was on, and eventually the countdown landed at a tag for Josh Allen. So no new news there. You know it. And now we get to react to it. Brent Martineau Austen Lane, Jason Hamby on a Wednesday, which, by the way, feels a little summery around here. Rained a bunch yesterday and felt a little hot today.
Yeah, man, it's beautiful outside right
beautiful.
now.
Yeah,
one of those classic Jacksonville spring days.
Yes.
Pollen's in the air. Brent Martineau's got snot coming out of his nose. Can't wait to get started today.
I feel good.
All right.
We got clean cut. Feel good.
There you go.
We got a baseball game tonight. Gonna go beat the Barneses. Hopefully we do that. And we got a lot of games coming up. And we got the Players' Championship on the horizon. What a great time of year. We got a little March Madness in the A-Sun last night. Did you catch that? Holy cow, there's a lot going on. But we'll get to that part a little bit later on. We actually will talk a little golf today. We might even check in with John Bachman's golf swing.
Okay.
I want some super analysis here from you. Are you ready for your play-by-play and the golf circuit?
Oh, I got you for sure, man. I mean, hey, CBS or whoever's calling the Masters this year, holla at your boy. A tradition like no other.
I'll send it to my buddy Andrew Catalan and see if you can join him. How about that?
I got it.
You can replace Vern. Vern apparently is done. Vern Lundquist after this year.
He's over it, huh?
Yeah. So
okay.
they were looking for replacements. Maybe you can be it.
This can be my addition for today.
We really do. It is a fun month around here with everything going on. I'm not sure the Jags fan base is having a lot of fun right now.
No, probably not. You know, and the sad thing is that we all kind of saw it coming. I think that it was a pipe dream to expect them to pay Josh Allen and then get that Calvin Ridley tag. But we saw Tampa Bay work some magic, so it was like, okay, we have a little bit of a hope here. Can the Jaguars pull this off? Can Trent Baalke wrangle in everybody and get the deal done? Unfortunately, you can't. You franchise tag Josh Allen, and now the big question is, what happens with Calvin Ridley?
Yeah, and in a way, I want to say, everybody take a breath. But I don't think everybody's going to take a breath and right off the rip, dang, this sucks. I want Ridley back, but don't see it happening now. This is where I guess you can begin. No surprise that Josh Allen gets tagged.
Yep.
The Jags can still get Ridley back. How bad do they want Ridley back? Isn't that the question they have to ask themselves? We saw after our show yesterday, did you see that or was it late in our show? I can't remember. It might have been late in our show, I think, that it happened. The Mike Evans parameter of his contract came out with incentives and stuff.
Yeah,
we're
talking about that.
And so I think that changed the game a little bit for me. Like, the money was not going to be as outrageous as I thought to get Calvin Ridley in terms of the overpay. I always thought this would be about 16, 17, maybe $18 million. You're not going north of Mike Evans. Like, you're just not. He's not. Even if he hits the open market, Austin, do you think he's going north of Mike Evans?
No, he's not. I mean, we've all established he's not Mike Evans.
Well, it's 20 and a half a year. Now, again, incentives and other things can play into that.
But that's all part of it, though. Like, yeah, Ridley's going to get his money, whether it's incentive-based or just up front, he's getting his money. If I'm Calvin Ridley, like, am I going to sign before the tampering period? Well, that would be outlandish. That would be foolish. You're going on in the back nine of your career right now. This is your opportunity to be a free agent, to make a lot of money. I have a hard time believing he's like, you know what? Forget all the suitors. Forget all the money being thrown around. I'm staying in Jacksonville.
Yeah, but if the Jags were to offer $20 million a year, which is under the franchise tag.
Okay. You don't think someone would offer him more than the Jaguars?
That's what I'm asking. I mean, 20 and a half for Mike Evans. We don't think he's going to get paid more. Isn't the window kind of narrow there? It's between whatever you thought it was going to be and now $20.5 million a year for Mike Evans.
Well, we say 20 and a half, but it's more than that, though.
Well, it is, but it's really 20 and a half at the outset, and then you got to hit the incentives. You can throw an incentive-laden deal. Maybe the Jags can do that too. But on the books, it's 20. That's the bigger number right now. Is what are you paying per year for Calvin Ridley?
Do we know the incentives, though, for Mike Evans? Is it like over 1,000 yards? Because he's done it every single year.
Yeah,
so, like, that, you might as well just call that.
I don't know if, Hamby, did you see any of that, the actual incentives? I don't think anybody reported what they are.
Yeah, those haven't been made public yet.
I just think that if I'm a free agent and it's really his first time being a free agent, like a real free agent.
Yeah, true.
I'm going to handle all the suitors. I'm not just going to be like, all right, Jackson's going to be 20. Well, if Jacksonville gives me 20 million, guess what? Other teams will give me 20 million as well. Even more probably, because right now I'm the only guy in free agency at wide receiver. And there's some teams that are probably interested in me. So I think Calvin Ridley, once again, I'm not sure what his priorities are. Maybe he loves this city. Maybe he's going to do Jacksonville a solid. But if it was me, I'm taking my sweet time now, man, and I'm seeing how much I can get.
Yeah, well, and that's where the agent comes into play, I think. But I understand what you're saying. That's where I think that everybody who says, hey, get these deals done, I think they don't think about the other side of it. The Josh Allen side of it was, why are we rushing to get a deal done? Let's see how everybody gets paid next week. Now, if you want to say, why didn't they get the deal done last year? That's a different conversation. I've been saying that for really a couple of years, even when a lot of folks said, get rid of Josh Allen, he's not sacking the quarterback enough. But nobody wanted to hear it then. Now everybody wanted the deal done right now because it would help you get Ridley back. The bottom line is, it does not play in the favor of Ridley or Josh Allen's camp to sign any kind of deal before the league year. There's more money out there floating around. They are super sought after players. Their stock has risen because of other players who obviously are under contract, including now for Josh Allen, a guy like Brian Burns, who also gets franchise tagged. Why wouldn't you wait to see where the market settles? When you're talking about this kind of money, you ain't going to lose a lot in this kind of deal. So that's the other side of it is, yeah, the Jags might have tried like hell yesterday to get Josh Allen to sign a deal and threw a lot of money at him. And if I was Josh Allen's folks, I've been like, hey, we really appreciate it. That's very nice of you. We love to dance. We can't wait to get this deal done, but we ain't doing it now. I'll talk to you after March and see how everything shakes out. Calvin Ridley's folks, kind of the way you're saying right now, Austin, right? It's like, hey, you want to give up that second-round pick? You want to throw a nice offer at us? We appreciate it. Awesome. He likes it here in Jacksonville. Love to play catch again with Trevor Lawrence. But we're going to wait until Monday's legal tampering and see who else wants to throw a boatload of money at us. And since we are the house on the street, there's one house on the street for sale. That's the nicest of all of them. And he's that one. It's as simple as that. So I get it. But the Jags also could try to overwhelm with an offer and make a really solid one and then give up a second-round pick. They have a few days still to do that. That's not out of play, but I tend to think the way you think. That's why I never thought Ridley was coming back to Jacksonville in the first place, is that he would hit the open market and test the waters.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Josh Allen talking about setting the market, like, Josh Allen is the market.
Yeah.
Like, whoever gets signed before him, whether it's Brian Burns, whether it's who else is I mean, we'll see.
It's different with Hunter and guys like
with
that,
Hunter,
right? Because
but
of
like
the age.
Whoever gets signed, it's going to be less than Josh Allen's making. Like, we all understand that. Josh Allen is about to break the bank. Josh Allen's going to be a top 5 paid edge rusher, as he should be. So I get you might as well mind your time now if you're Josh Allen. Like, what's the rush? My only argument was I thought you had a little bit more on the Jaguars in saying, hey, if you give us that high-priced deal right now because you want to tag Calvin Ridley, which I thought they did, we'll play ball with you. That didn't happen. It is what it is. And now Josh Allen can take his time, and now Calvin Ridley can take his time. And I think Calvin Ridley will take his time. I can't fathom being a free agent for the first time, being where you're at now with your age, of just saying, yeah, I'm just going to stay in Jacksonville. I'll take $20 million. I won't even see what the market's all about. Like, that's not good business.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, I think I love referencing back to the Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley thing from last year, because this time the Jags were in the same situation. It wasn't quarterback, running back, but instead it was pass rusher, premier position, and Calvin Ridley, wide receiver. And they got that deal done. How did they get that deal done? Well, they probably gave Daniel Jones more money than people wanted to give Daniel Jones, right? Mm-hmm. 4 years, $40 million a year. How did that work out? Well, not so great. I think this one will work out a lot better for Josh Allen. My guess is if we get the details of this at some point down the road, and it might be 6 months from now, might be a year from now, might be a month from now, how this all played out, I bet they threw a pretty good amount of cash at Josh Allen and his camp yesterday. And I still think they knew they were in the driver's seat. They were in the prime position, so they didn't balk at it. I've got this other question coming out of the Ridley stuff. And hear me out here. This is not necessarily what I want to have a discussion about this. This isn't my strong opinion of it. Are we overvaluing Ridley's importance to this football team right now. And in the context, Austin, I say of this, is he even a number one wide receiver for you?
I mean, I think he's 1A, 1B with Christian Kirk. You know, I mean, going into next year, and I'm not comparing these players because they're completely different in terms of how elite they are, but is Cooper Kupp the number one or is Puka Nacua the number one? I don't know. You can go back and forth, I think.
Well, but for what you're paying, Cooper better be the number one.
Well, I mean, I could argue and say Puka Nacua outperformed Cooper Kupp largely last year.
Absolutely
and
did.
Okay.
Absolutely did, but I think they even said, just for a little context, I'm pretty sure McVay even said, listen, we didn't ask him to do all those things, especially early on, that we would ask a Cooper Kupp to do. So it was a little bit different. And now, does he develop into that? I would still put Cooper Kupp as your number one guy.
I mean, I just think if teams are going to game plan for Los Angeles Rams, I think Puka Nacua is just up there with Cooper Kupp and saying we got to stop both these guys. It's not like, all right, we got to stop Cooper Kupp. Let's shut him down and then worry about Puka Nacua. So, I truly think it's 1A and 1B. I kind of feel that way a little bit with Christian Kirk now and Calvin Ridley. Like, is Christian Kirk an overall number one receiver? I mean, out of the slot, it can be hard to justify. Is Calvin Ridley? Well, you saw sometimes last year he just got shut down completely. But I think if you have both of them, only good things can happen. And if you pair that with if Zay Jones can stay healthy, or if you address another wide receiver early on in the draft, it's a deep class up front, well, then there you go. Then you kind of have three guys that can be dependable. Like, the one receiver you're not going to get right now. Gabe Davis is not a one receiver, okay? Some of these guys in the draft can be, but once again, how much do you trust Trent Baalke? How much do you trust this organization to get that number one guy, that right guy out of this draft class?
Yeah, and that's where I go with it, right?
The way Twitter reacted yesterday, you would have thought Ridley was a top 5, top 6 receiver in the league.
That is a little bit of what I'm saying here, right? I mean, and I'm okay with this, by the way. We love you, Jags fans. I get it. This stuff's emotional, bulky. Should they have seen it? Here's where I just want to go back to the basis for me. The basis for me is I think these guys as front office folks, first of all, they do have a lot of hard decisions to make and guess at and negotiations to work. There's a lot of balls bouncing. I understand it. That's the nature of their job. There are things that we could say that are difficult about what we do or you do, and that's the nature of your job. These guys are obviously in high-profile situations under the microscope. My view of this is that they are supposed to be able to take a guy like Josh Allen. And when I am asking the GM at the Combine 2 years ago, are you getting ahead of this and going to pay him now? Because I believe he's a really good football player. That's just my opinion. I'm not telling them that they should listen to Brent, and if he thinks he's a good player, we got to pay him. That's not where I'm going. Okay, they didn't do it. New regime, Doug coming in, new defense. How's everything going to fit? The next year, especially after what he did kind of number-wise without the boatload of sacks, 7.5 sacks I think it was. But man, if you watched Josh Allen in 2022, you knew he was wrecking things. You knew he was almost on the verge. We asked the same question. They still didn't want to do the dance. If they dance any of those 2 off seasons, first of all, they save a boatload of money. And we ain't talking about this right now. In fact, Josh is probably asking to restructure. I want more. Coming off 17.5. Now, you could also make the case, does he have 17.5 without playing, for his future and everything else? I don't know. But I thought he was a good player. It's their job. This is what I'm getting at. Their job is to have the vision, to know that he's a good football player, to know that he's a puzzle piece, a benchmark piece, a cornerstone piece to this football team for the next 5 to 7 years, to this roster. That's their job. They whiffed on that part to me. They didn't whiff as much right now. There are not a lot of deals that get done at this juncture of the offseason. They also lost leverage, obviously, but that's part of this thing. These guys, Calvin Ridley and Josh Allen, have a ton of leverage, which make it not impossible, but unlikely for deals to get done before the league year. The Jags lost that leverage when they didn't have the vision, Austin, the foresight 2 years ago or last year to ink Josh Allen to a big deal.
How is this different than what the Buccaneers just did with Mike Evans and Winfield?
I think
because the Buccaneers got it done.
I think the difference is, first of all, Calvin Ridley is not Mike Evans. I think we've established.
Sure.
And secondly, the second round pick and everything else that goes into play with Ridley is different than Evans.
And you don't have 10 years of precedent Evans working with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers front office and being there for that long.
I'll add one thing, though.
But you don't think the precedent is here with Josh Allen working with this team?
Okay, but
being for this city?
But I think they're two different players in this. I think the Ridley piece is the Evans piece. I think the Winfield piece is your future piece who's going to be around for a while, and he just came off a monster year, Winfield did. He is the Josh Allen piece.
No, I disagree. I think Mike Evans means what to the Buccaneers, what Josh Allen needs to mean to the Jaguars.
Absolutely. But Mike Evans, 30 years old. He's got 2 years left. Josh Allen's 26 years old.
Take age out of this, Brent. I'm saying what they mean to the team. Mike Evans, the reason we went to the playoffs was because of Mike Evans. Because it gave Baker Mayfield confidence. It was the deep shot. The Buccaneers go to the playoffs because of Mike Evans. The Jaguars were worth anything this past season because of Josh Allen. Yeah. Josh Allen means enough to the Jaguars like Mike Evans means enough to the Buccaneers.
I get you. I get what you're saying there, but I don't think contractually and the situations they are in dollar-wise are alike. I think the Winfield piece is the one that's a major investment for his position. He's coming off the banner year. He's the younger player that's going to be around as a cornerstone piece. Mike Evans has been a cornerstone piece. Mike Evans doesn't continue to be a cornerstone piece. You know he's going to be there for like 2 years, and that's it. The other thing that I would say about Evans is Evans wanted to hit. They almost couldn't do this. The thing that changed the mind is Evans, according to the reports out of Tampa, is that he wanted to stay a Buck. So this would be like, if you want to go apples to apples, it would be like Calvin Ridley saying this week, listen, I don't want to go anywhere else. Like that's what we would need Calvin Ridley to say.
Do you think Josh Allen wants to stay a Jaguar?
He does, but so does Winfield. So they're alike. The only odd piece in that, I'm telling you, if we're comparing apples to apples, is that Ridley has not said that. Ridley has not turned around and said, or at least that we know of, hey, I want to stay in Jacksonville. Don't worry about next week. I mean, Evans, according to all these reports, it was close and he was going to get to the...
Well, because it was hard to justify paying him that much money of what he wanted, because he would have got top dollar.
And he would have got a lot,
yeah. Yeah, correct.
Patriots were in. Apparently the Jags were even in.
It looked like he may have taken a little bit of a discount to stay in Tampa Bay. So, if you want to look into the incentive, laden contract.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, that's a good point. Listen, I just don't fully think it's the same. In fact, I think it's a lot alike in the Winfield part. They were trying to get to a contract. I think I saw somewhere around like $20 million a year. I think were some of the numbers being thrown out. They couldn't, so they tagged them. Now the difference, as you're saying, is they're able to keep both.
Correct.
But did Mike Evans click off a second-round pick because they did it? Or something like that. They didn't have that element. I think that makes it a little bit different. And again, you have a player that's saying, I want to be here. I don't want to go test it. I don't want to move my family. That is a huge part of this. That's the other side dancing. That other side said, hey, let's dance right now. Let's finish this dance.
So getting back to what you guys said about Jags Twitter celebrating like Calvin Ridley was a top 5 wide receiver. I don't think that was the case at all. I don't think anybody really thinks that Calvin Ridley is a top 5 wide receiver. I think people see Calvin Ridley as a guy who can help Trevor Lawrence. And that's supposed to be the whole goal of this offseason, is finding out if Trevor Lawrence is indeed the guy. Because we've had these conversations. Is he elite? I don't think so. I don't think anybody would really say right now that Trevor Lawrence is elite. And if you lose Calvin Ridley, well, then guess what? You just lost another piece to try to prove to see if he is elite or not. So that's where I think some of the blowback from the fan base is coming from. It's not like you lost a top fantasy wide receiver by any means, but you just lost a guy who could help improve Trevor Lawrence, who can tell us if Trevor Lawrence is elite or not.
Yeah, I like that too, man. I don't mind that. I think that's right on. I think that now whether that's the fan base fully thinking that, you might be right. Some thinking that. It doesn't matter. I think that is correct. I think you've got to be careful in Jacksonville right now to get focused on, okay, Darius Williams is gone, or Rayshon Jenkins is gone, and how do you replace that? Let's not take our eye off the ball here. This is Trevor Lawrence's football team. You've got to do whatever you can to keep Trevor Lawrence playing well. Put everything around Trevor Lawrence. We talked about this yesterday. How fun would it be to load up at receiver, bring Ridley back, also make a draft pick in that first round or something like that and say, we are all in on you, brother. Let's go. Give him everything he needs. Give him stuff that, by the way, Patrick Mahomes had early in his career. Now Patrick is to the point where he can kind of do a lot more himself. But Patrick Mahomes was gifted with a ton of talent early on. And he's already talented enough by himself, it looks like. But he had so much to work with, which made those guys so dynamic. I'd love for them to give that to Trevor Lawrence, which does bring us to the next phase of this. And again, we can evolve some of these ideas. We'll get to the chat. It's really hopping. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about Calvin Ridley, and the Josh Allen stuff is what it is for right now. But can the Jags still win out here? Can the Jags still win now that they're going to have, let's just say the Ridley deal doesn't get done. He moves on. You're going to have a second-round pick, which you might not have had if you did handle things with Ridley, and you still could have had. I get it. But you might not have if you tried to do a deal this week. So you have a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and then I think you pick again at number 96. We determined this yesterday with our math class. You got to go wide receiver, right? You got to go wide receiver at one of those two picks. There's a lot of good wide receivers. Could the Jaguars get themselves a very good wide receiver that is maybe even more talented than Calvin Ridley, cheaper, and then also is young, so he plays for a long time with Trevor Lawrence? And I understand here, there's scar tissue. Bulky hasn't done that great. The Jags are drafting. I get it. Mm-hmm. But you can't go into it thinking that way. I mean, you can, but they can't. They got to go in thinking they're going to go get a big player. Does this change that they're going to probably go wide receiver early and earlier than anybody thinks?
Well, no, I mean, you have to go wide receiver early because what else is going to be the plan? Like, are you going to get Gabe Davis? Like, and listen, I think Gabe Davis can have some great games. He can have that 150-yard, off of 6 receptions, 3 touchdowns type of game. But from a consistent basis, from a number 1 receiver, he's not that. So, yeah, if you can't answer the call with Gabe Davis, then what's going to be the plan for Trevor Lawrence? Who's going to be the go-to receiver? You have to address that in the draft. Now, do you take the first-round pick and get a wide receiver? Well, cornerback right now, I would even argue, is probably a little more depleted than your wide receivers are. And you know how Ryan Nielsen feels about cornerbacks. So I feel like the writing's on the wall in the first round. They're probably going to take a corner. So then you're talking, if you lose Calvin Ridley, that second-round pick going for a wide receiver.
Well, here's the deal. See, this is how I would, if I'm in the meetings in this organization, which I'm not, but I think what you say is logical. I think there are a lot of folks out there, and what people are talking about today, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. Do you have a hole in the offensive line? Do you have a hole on the defensive front? Do you have a hole or two at the cornerback position? Probably. Do you have a hole potentially now at wide receiver, right? Those 4 positions. So you have a lot to get. You can't use them all with 1 pick at 17. But to me, with all due respect to Ryan Nielsen, who I haven't even met, he is far less important than Trevor Lawrence. I don't give a damn what Ryan Nielsen wants. Honestly. Yeah, sure. I don't care. I care what Trevor Lawrence wants, what he needs, what we need to make him good. That is the most important part of this organization. So if it takes to get a receiver, or if you think center does that, the offensive side of the football right now reigns supreme because it's taking care of your quarterback. There are plenty of receivers that could fall to number 17 that would be game changers potentially for the Jags. Or if you want to get aggressive, move up and get one of those top 3 guys if you really want to go nuts. The bottom line is this team should, if they lose on Calvin Ridley, now get really aggressive when it comes to the receiver position and helping their franchise quarterback out. Not plugging holes on defense, helping your franchise quarterback out. And if they do that, and if they have the guts to do that, and the other stuff to do that, well, then we'll get a good look at what Trevor can do. This offense could be dynamic, and they'll get a cheaper, younger player that can impact at the receiver position, and then maybe you won't miss Calvin Ridley as much.
I mean, that sounds great, and hopefully they do take the top wide receiver that falls to them. But once again, it's picking the right guy, whether it's going to be Brian Thomas Jr. Like, you're not taking Troy Franklin. I mean, I like Troy Franklin a lot. Dynamic, has elite speed, but he's 6'2". I mean, and here I go again, having the preconceived notions of what a number 1 receiver looks like. But yeah, if Brian Thomas Jr. somehow falls to you, if Odunze,
very likely, by the way,
it could very well happen. If you want to go up and get Odunze, because I don't see him falling to the Jaguars, maybe take him. Everybody else, I feel like, your Keelan Collins, and sorry, Kids Corner earmuff. No. I'm saying earmuffs though for Mitchell. Mitchell might fall to the second round. I know you don't want to hear that, Hamby.
No. He, Keon Coleman, Troy Franklin, those are all fringe riders, like first round guys.
Yeah,
who
could fall to the second round.
Right.
If one of those are there, maybe.
You're thinking if we take one of those guys at 17, it's a little bit of a reach, honestly.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I'm looking at 17 right now, I'm looking at Brian Thomas Jr. And if something crazy would happen with Odunze, let's go. But once again, and I get Troy Franklin, there's a lot of hype, and maybe I'm wrong about him. He's a burner. But I just feel like what I'd like to see out of a wide receiver core is more of a bigger body. And I say a bigger body, like Brian Thomas Jr. is only 1 inch taller than Troy Franklin, but obviously in terms of weight, it's a little different as well.
We're just getting rocking and rolling here. Twitter is either broken or you guys are really juiced up today about this Jags conversation with Calvin Ridley and Josh Allen. So if you're hanging on, hang on with us. We're here until 1 a.m. It's the Brent and Austen Show. And don't
PM,
forget,
Brent, PM.
Oh, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m.?
Oh, man.
Oh, it's a long day today. I forgot to tell
man.
you. 10 a.m. until 1 p.m.
Oh, man.
Hey,
I had to move some things around.
hey, listen, we have an Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Yeah,
we play until 1 a.m.
For sure.
It does repeat itself on there. You can get the Action News Jax app, actionnewsjax.com. By the way, you can check us out all day, every day, right here on the Brent and Austen Show. Oh, what a beautiful day in Jacksonville. Doesn't feel it around your football team, though, does it? I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 1.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jax Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jax Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Thank you for making Action News Jax the best in Jax and Folio's Best of Jax 2023. Best TV station, Best TV newscast, Best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted Best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted Best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted Best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, Best news website and Best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jax local coverage you can count on.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
I'm Action News Jax First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beaton. Well, the sun is up and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jax This Morning team helping you start your morning right.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Well, there it is, the Miller Electric Center, and what is going on in there? You know, one thing I'm always interested in is how, first of all, they pay attention, okay? Like, that part they do. Brent Balky, in my estimation, answered about 15 potential, social media hot button things in his first 3 minutes at the Combine last week. Mm-hmm. Like, he was like, yeah, we've talked to him. We've done this. We've done this stuff that was like, okay, we've been talking about, not me and you, but everybody's been talking about this kind of stuff. And I know they hear it. It's impossible not to hear it. You can't get away from it. Like when you were playing Austin, you could say, yeah, I don't read the paper. Right?
Yeah.
I don't see that. Well,
and they also had the papers in the room for us to read, though, which was wild to me. Vito and Gene say
thank you.
Apart, man.
But
come on, Vito.
Now it's like you can't get away from it. What I used to think, I remember I've said the story before, but I used to talk to Bortles a little bit about this. Like, I almost would ask him, man, how you doing? Like, he's with all this noise, right? And he would be, now I heard it was tougher on him than he would admit, but it was really hard on the families. Like, the families, they don't know, get away from it, and they send it. So it's like, if I'm your brother, from a different mother, nice,
Brent. Nice.
I would be like, hey, Austin, look what they're saying about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, that's how you get it, right? You might not be looking for it, but somebody else would get it. So the long story short here is they hear it. Everybody hears it. I mean, Calvin Ridley was tweeting the other day.
Yeah, he's tweeting about you.
Yeah, I don't know who he's tweeting about.
Saying he wouldn't go to the Chiefs for the same amount. He's tweeting about you, man.
But I think they get it and they hear it. But what I also wonder is how much they just kind of laugh at and how much they have to have tunnel vision. And I'm not talking Balky in particular. I'm talking just even Doug or the whole thing. How does this infiltrate the noise? There is also this thought, like in places like Jacksonville and Green Bay and Buffalo, these smaller markets, because I have a hard time calling us a small town. I mean, we're pretty big here in Jacksonville and growing. But where it's Jags, or in Buffalo where it's so much Bills, and Green Bay, Packers, like the good and the bad gets to you. Like, it's hard to block it out.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely gets to you, especially with winning franchises, when you aren't doing so well. Like, I mean, even in Green Bay, they didn't go to the playoffs for 2 years, and fans were ready to freak out about it.
Yeah.
Come to Jacksonville and talk to me. I just think that, listen, I understand everybody sees everything, and that's fine. Like Trent Baalke, he fits that mold as well. But you have to understand, like, if you're getting shaken up, and if you're getting, I don't even want, like, feeling a certain type of way about what people say on social media, this is the wrong business for you.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, Calvin Ridley, you want to talk about people on Twitter or whatever with GMs, and yes, Trent Baalke, you want to address everything. This is not the real world. So don't let a non-real world thing get to you. And then on top of it, feel the need to address it every single time you have to go on Twitter. Or I feel you have to address it every single time you're at the combine. It's just, it's crazy to me. And I get, like, I'm part of the minority that thinks this way, and I'm falling behind the times, and that's fine. But if you're going to go on Twitter and see someone that said something with 100 followers, and you'd be like, well, this is going to ruin my day, I need to address that now. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Now, listen, I've been told there's some times when you get into drafting, right? If you have a quarterback that everybody's after or somebody else, like that can infiltrate. That can be like, how are people going to react? Like, they are your customers. There is that element of this. I've just heard these conversations. Now, I also don't know if it actually impacts decisions, but this one's interesting to me, and it goes back to really what I said at the top of the show. It's like, is Calvin Ridley a number one? It doesn't matter if I think he is or you think he is, how important he is. It's really what they think. How do they value him? Do they value him as a number one, or do they think he's a really good number two or somewhere in between? And if that is the case, then they definitely have a ceiling of where they're going to pay. Like, if they don't think he's good enough to be a number one, but they really value him, it's not a knock. But you have to have these categories of what player you are. It'll be the same conversation with Trevor Lawrence. Is he our elite guy that we're going to pay $55, $60 million a year for, or is he not? Well, this year might tell that story. But you have to do that as an organization. You also have to be right about those things as an organization. And when you do that in the Ridley instance here, I just feel like they might say, yeah, he's really good number two, maybe close to a number one, which then puts him at, we are not going over this price point to do this deal, even though we would love to have him back. Both things can be true. You would love to have him back, but that price gets too steep. And I think that's where we believe this is headed.
Yeah, I mean, I think, once again, it doesn't matter what I think, doesn't matter what anybody thinks. It's what the Jaguars think. Can Calvin Ridley be a number one, right? That's the big question. I just feel we've seen him be a number one. We've seen that season where he had 90 receptions, over 1,300 yards, almost 1,400 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That's a one receiver kind of number. So we've seen that. So then what do we know right now? Well, we know last year, he maybe regressed a little bit, but he was coming off a 1-year layoff, where I did say, when I was on a different show talking to some people, that there was going to be some rust. You have to expect rust. Now, that was our fault that we saw him in training camp and said, what rust? This guy's coming out, running the routes we haven't seen before of a guy in a Jaguars uniform in a long time. So maybe we set the expectations a little too high of who we thought Calvin Ridley was going to be his first year back after taking a long layoff. The point, though, is that we've seen him be a number one. We've seen all the skill set. We've seen the speed. We've seen the ability. These guys in the draft, we don't know what they're going to do yet. If the Jaguars draft somebody in the first round or the second round, we're not sure what it's going to look like. We're not sure if we're going to get a number one receiver the first year or the second year because we haven't seen anything yet. So you're putting blind faith into Trent Baalke. You're putting blind faith into an organization that, the track record hasn't been good when it comes to drafting wide receivers, as opposed to putting some faith in a guy that what he's done in the past and what he could possibly do going forward in Calvin Ridley.
Let's get some of the responses. We've got a lot of action in the chat, and we go, Baalke must go. Of course, that's an overwhelming thought, but it ain't happening. See, that's the problem. He's going to be here making the decisions, at least for this spring, we would think. So that's a wish that is not going to come true. Delphonic, if I was Ridley, who's 29, is finally at his first contract, I'd worry more about guaranteed money at this time. maybe is the case. Don't know why people are surprised at this outcome. I expect this front office to make bad decisions. They have a track record of not great decisions. I don't think anybody's surprised by this outcome, by the way. Just the way the NFL works, regardless of the front office, and then you add in the front office too. J.R. Fly says the ideal scenario would have been sign Josh Allen to a long-term deal, tag Ridley. We don't have to give up a second-round pick. Yes.
Yep.
That would have been ideal. Steve Buss says, well, I mean, we went to the playoffs without Ridley, honestly, so it's a toss-up, right? Well, they did. But obviously he just delivered a 1,000-yard season, and he was supposed to add to that playoff run and maybe take you to the next level rather than just sneak into the playoffs. Any extra picks would greatly help us, would they? I'm not an extra pick guy. Like, I really am not. Yeah. I've seen too many damn draft picks around here in Jacksonville. I don't get that excited about them. I Am Legend said this was a contract year. He won't repeat it. This GM is trash. There should have been negotiations when we didn't make the playoffs. What are you doing? Watching the Texans do what you should have been doing. That. And I Am Legend gets a little even more upset about what's going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I've got another couple of comments on Twitter I wanted to get to. Coach Ripley, I'm usually with you, Brent, but I do not trust this administration to draft a starter quality number one wide receiver at 17 for that matter ever. The Jags have drafted 2 in 29 years that were legit starters, Blackman and Robinson, meaning Allen Robinson. Mm-hmm. The rest, bust, below average. And I'll be honest, I'm not mad about Ridley walking or us not keeping him. I'm mad that we didn't get the Josh Allen deal done months ago. It shows how they don't want to really do business, taking a stance that allows for this stupidity to take the forefront.
Dang, even Brent's burner account's against him right now. That's when
me?
You know you got some bad takes, when your own burner account isn't agreeing with you.
I get the fear factor. The fear factor in the Jags organization, but also bulky. Remember, he drafted A.J. Jenkins out of Jacksonville in the first round, which was an incredible bust. I mean, an incredible bust. And he just hasn't, his track record, drafted receivers very well. So maybe they got to go rethink how they do this. But the bottom line is I think they're going to need to draft one and take another spin at the wheel here in the first couple of rounds. We'll see if they do it. That lends us to the other part of this story, because what people are really talking about now in the last couple of days is you have holes. You have holes on the defensive interior. You have holes on the offensive line. You have holes at corner. You have holes at wide receiver, assuming Ridley is gone.
Yeah.
And Austin, I don't know if I come with everybody on this one. I want to get your thoughts, because in the offseason, at this point, right before the league year starts, when free agency begins and you've got a draft coming up, don't most teams have holes? And the Jags actually have bodies, by the way. I get it. Your version of a hole in this context is they've got Luke Fortner, and that's not good enough. Totally get it. I'm with you. Do they have a hole? Well, are they going to re-sign Ezra Cleveland? Do they have Sheriff on the roster still? They still have 3 tackles on the roster. Like, do they have actually holes on the offensive line, or do they just not have good enough players on the offensive line? I think those are two different things. The other side, the defensive interior. They actually have Devon Hamilton and Roy Robertson Harris paying a lot of money. You need better play out of those guys. Like, they don't actually have holes. What they need on the defensive interior is they need more people they need more production, and they need to get younger and cheaper for these guys to then move on down the road.
I mean, okay, so here's what I think about that. Do they have holes, or is it just bad play? I mean, to me, it goes hand in hand. Your holes allowed you not to make the playoffs last year. Your holes on defense put up an embarrassing performance against, the Buccaneers, the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Titans to end the season off. And you know what I always say? You're only as good as some of your last performances. Chalk the Carolina Panthers game out, because Carolina might be even a worse organization than the Jaguars are right now, and that could be saying a little bit. So I don't even count the Panthers game. But when we talk about, and even the Browns too, by the way, Joe Flacco came in and did his thing as well. So when I see how you finished the season, how many yards you gave up, how many points you gave up, yeah, those are holes. Those are holes at cornerback. Those are holes at interior defensive line. And those are holes in the secondary, like as safety. Now, say what you want about it. Is it the players? Every team has holes. That's fine. But every team didn't go to Tennessee and get absolutely obliterated by a Tennessee run game that had 0 offensive line. So you can call it holes, you can call it bad players, whatever you need to call them. The point is that you have to upgrade those positions, because what you have right now, you probably won't win with.
Yeah, listen, I don't mind that upgrade. I just also will go back to my first part of this, Austin. Like, those are 4 positions. And yes, they are going to have to address them. We think to get better, they are going to have to address them. But I don't know how many holes an average team has like this time of year, even a playoff team. But I would think they've got some pieces to fix, or they're running it back, which is something the fan base didn't want to do a year ago, and the Jaguars decided to do when they had like 21 out of 22 starters coming back.
No, I mean, unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you're always trying to upgrade.
Yeah.
That's just
and
the
even
way
they're
that,
going to try to upgrade, I think, at wide receiver in places.
Of course, that's just the way that it's the nature of the beast. My point is that for what you thought this team was going to be, a playoff caliber team, and you underachieved, you didn't reach expectations. Not every single team in the NFL can say that. So with that being said, yeah, I think the Jaguars are different in terms of they have a lot of holes that need addressed, because either you're a below average team, a la the Bears, something like that. Yeah, the Bears have holes. Guess what? They're not a good team.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of teams have holes. Okay. The Jaguars were expected, in my eyes, to make the playoffs. They didn't. You failed. You have holes. You have bad players. Whatever you want to call it, it's got to be addressed. Houston Texans did it. Look at how many holes the Houston Texans filled in the draft alone.
They did.
And now they're the favorites to win the AFC South. How many holes do the Houston Texans have right now? I don't know. We're talking about, is Saquon Barkley going to go there? Who else is going to go to Houston? Houston's having fun right now, man. I can't imagine being a Houston sports radio broadcaster. Man, we're getting Saquon Barkley. What are we doing? Who are we worried about? Our offensive line's pretty good. Our defense, I trust in them. They're pretty young. Our wide receivers, mwah. They're having fun.
Yeah, it sounds like sports radio in Jacksonville a year ago.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it does.
Okay, here's the thing. You think Houston's going to miss the playoffs and regress? Okay.
I don't know. At December 4th, 8-3, playing for a number one seed Monday Night Football, playing against the quarterbacks they were going to play, nobody here thought the Jags were going to miss the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I mean, nobody thought. I mean, so I'm not ready to just say the league is weird, and just because you think you're close doesn't mean you're close. I also think just because you think it's a disaster in Jacksonville doesn't mean it's a disaster. There are a lot of teams, even the Houston Texans, that are going to try to replace or upgrade or find better fixes at 4 different positions in the next couple of weeks, couple of months. That's the nature of the business. And I think Houston will try to do that. The nature of the business is who will do it better. That's the thing. It's like, who will do it better? And I get it. I get it in Jacksonville. Where's the faith that you're going to do it here? But to say that, oh, gosh, all of a sudden the Jags have all these holes, and how did we end up here? Well, the league ends up here. The league ends up getting rid of Rayshon Jenkins and Darius Williams. Like, those are not bad moves. Those are the moves that happen in the league. And then you replace them with, guess what? We've already got our fix, we think, at least at safety. That's not a hole. You already drafted that replacement. Now you got to go do it at corner. Now you got to go do it potentially at defensive line for the next couple of years. Now you got to do it at wide receiver, I think.
Wasn't the plan with Roy Robertson Harris and Fola Fatukasi to fill those holes?
I still think
we're still filling holes?
I still think you'd be adding depth.
We're trying to add starters, Brent. There's a difference. Number one, Fatukasi's gone. And number two, Roy Robertson Harris, we're talking about, hey, I mean, we can probably upgrade there as well.
Yeah,
like this.
They need him to get better.
Okay. But if you need to get better, then a hole needs to be filled. And like, if you can't handle the job, and if you can't get better, and we got to say, man, we need more out of you. Well, if that doesn't happen, then that's getting addressed, and that's a hole that needs filling. And this was what free agency is all about. Like, you brought guys in to fill the holes, right? You brought Shaq Griffin in to fill the hole. You brought Rayshon Jenkins in to fill the hole. Now, some of these guys were cap casualties, so be it. But the guys that you brought in, some of them aren't here anymore. Some of the guys that were supposed to be brought in terms of linebacker, they're not starting. We have, Foye Lukan starting. So, once again, you want to talk about filling holes, it comes down to getting the right guys in free agency, number one, and also drafting the right guys, number two. That's what happens. That's what the Texans have done so far. And you know what? Once again, I get the NFL. It's year by year. Houston might be bad next year. I don't think so, but it could always happen. I just think where they sit right now on their roster, Houston looks a lot better than the Jaguars do because, well, Houston in free agency hasn't done too bad, and obviously Houston drafting has done exceptional.
Yeah, I think they would. But again, I believe that this is an organization in Houston couldn't get out of their own way for the last 3 or 4 years too, and then they hit. So does that mean they're going to hit again?
With the new coaching staff.
Yeah, new staff and everybody. But by
I
the
think
way,
the staff makes a difference.
Okay, well, then they just brought in Ryan Nielsen. Is that the ad that they needed to get better play out of Devon Hamilton and Roy Robertson Harris? And we all know this, by the way, that Hamilton's a unique situation. And I'm not even telling you that it was a right deal to sign him. But he is a unique situation in this conversation. Roy Robertson Harris, does he play better because Ryan Nielsen's now the guy? Do your linebackers play even better, like a Devin Wood or whatever, because Ryan Nielsen's the guy? So, like, you already have made a move, technically, to make your defense better. I feel like we're getting the Calvin Ridley, the Josh Allen stuff, that's on an island right now by itself. If we're going to continue to just knock every move, then we have to at least acknowledge the ones that are just the part of doing business, the part of the NFL, and the ones that kind of did work. Foye Oluokun has worked. Rayshon Jenkins did work. Darius Williams did work. Replacing Rayshon Jenkins did work. We think. We're very confident in Antonio Johnson. Getting Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen together, that's worked. So, like, there are things that are on, like, they haven't made, every decision hasn't been a bad decision.
What's replacing Williams?
The draft.
Okay.
The draft, or next week.
Okay.
That's
okay.
a hole. There's absolutely a hole.
And then hopefully Ryan Nielsen can draft well as well, I guess. You know? I mean, like, it goes hand in hand. Like, you want to talk about the coaching staff of Houston. Well, they also got a brand new GM, too, in like 21 or 22 that made a difference.
Yeah, Casario, who they actually wanted to flush with, and then they kept with, and then they got. I mean, listen, this isn't a defense of Balky here. I'm not sitting here telling you that he's the guy that's going to get this all right. But the bottom line is they're 3 or 4 good decisions away from being right where a lot of these other teams are and where you want to be. It's not like they've got no pieces to work with on this football team. They have a first and second round pick. And if they alone hit wide receiver and cornerback, and those are good players, and I know.
That's a big, yeah.
Is it a big ask?
Batting 100%?
Is it a big ask? They've hit on second round picks a lot around here.
Okay.
Not last year. I know everybody's going to say Brenton Strange. They also have hit on first round picks most recently.
Well, Trayvon Walker. Okay.
Trayvon and obviously Trevor.
Well,
Josh Allen you're going to re-up.
Hey, congratulations on taking Trevor Lawrence, and congratulations on taking Trayvon. What brain busters.
Oh, Trayvon Walker's that was an obvious number one.
Well, it was either going to be him, Kayvon Thibodeau, or Aiden Hutchinson, and you know what? Any of those guys right now, I think people are liking. I think people like Kayvon Thibodeau in New York. He was kind of the wild card. I think Detroit loves Aiden Hutchinson, and Trayvon Walker, we know how I feel about him.
Listen, the bottom line is, forget about who made the picks. This organization that has struggled for years, no matter who's making the picks and who's running the show, has struggled. But in the last 5 years, they drafted in the top 10 Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, and this past season, they were the best duo in the National Football League at sacking the quarterback. Like, that's a win. Not a gimme. It's a win. Did they get fortunate? Sure. They had the number 1 pick. They also had Josh Allen fall into their laps a little bit. But, we can't just sit here and say, hey, the wins, that was easy. Anybody could have done that. The losses, you suck.
Listen,
like, that's not how it works.
To me, what makes a great organization and a great GM are when you don't have the layups, is when you go out of your way to say, you know what? This is our guy. No one's really talking about this guy, but we're going to take him. Now, you can say Trayvon Walker's that guy, but let's be honest. Once again, either him or Aiden Hutchinson was going to work out well for you. So, no, I'm not going to give credit to an organization that took Trayvon Walker and took Trevor Lawrence.
Christian Kirk?
No-brainers.
Evan Ingram?
Evan Ingram, sure. Christian Kirk, why not? But we're talking about the draft right now.
Oh, I'm talking about player acquisition. Those weren't good moves?
Okay. No, they're great moves. Yeah, they worked out. Rayshon Jenkins?
The league thought they were crazy for taking Kirk.
Roy Robertson Harris?
At that price.
Okay. It's a horse apiece here. But once again, you build through the draft and free agency. In terms of the draft, I don't have a lot of outlook. Like, to say that you're going to give credit to this organization for taking Trayvon Walker and Trevor Lawrence is crazy to me. Where's the third-round pick that we're all, wow, nobody had him? Where's the fourth-round pick where we're talking about, like, man, this guy's going to be a difference maker? How many conversations are we having about that? Because with other teams around the NFL who are storied NFL teams, they had those conversations. Where's the Jaguars one?
Well, you go back to 21 is where you had it, and even that's a tough conversation right now because Tyson Campbell off this past year due to injuries. But, I mean, the 21 draft was actually a very good draft. Andre Sisco in the third round appears to be a good football player.
I'm saying a great foundation, pillar, a guy that's like, man, what? Like, we can say Sisco, like, yeah, he could be a great guy going forward. I'm not ready to call him a Pro Bowler. I'm not ready to call him an All-Pro. Where are those guys? Because sometimes they're there.
Yeah, sometimes they are there. But I think the compilation of adding play again, they added a lot in free agency, and they added a lot in that 21 draft. And yes, the last year's draft is a nothing draft right now outside of, by the way, Anton Harrison, who I think is a good player at right tackle. That was a good vision. So, listen, we go back and forth on it, but you're not going to make 50 good moves. Should the Jags' hit rate be better? Absolutely. Should they have gotten this part done better? Maybe. I think they should have signed Josh Allen a year or two ago. So I'm with you. But the Jags don't have a bad football team. The Jags have holes like other teams have holes. Now they got to go make the right decisions. And I fully understand the fact that you don't have a lot of confidence in the guy making the decisions. That's a Shad Khan problem. And that could be a Jags problem and a Doug Peterson problem. But the bottom line is they are a couple of decisions away from still being right where they need to be. Now it's your job, Trent Baalke, to make the right damn decisions. If they're going to give you the power to do it, it's your job to go make the right decisions. It's our job to take a break. We come back, 11 o'clock hour coming up. The Brent Austen Show really heating up on a Wednesday as the Jaguars begin this offseason to try to get back ahead of the Houston Texans and take over the AFC South once again. We'll be back on the Brent Austen Show here on a Wednesday. We'll talk a little bit of golf as well still to come. We want to break down John Bachman's swing. Maybe I got Austin worked up enough to really throw some barbs at Bachman.
At golf, we'll see.
Go where all the pros go. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute takes care of athletes at the highest level, like the Jacksonville Jaguars players. They will take care of you, too. Our team covers a lot of teams here in Jacksonville. FSCJ, JU, the Axemen, the Jumbo Shrimp, the Sharks, and, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. JOI covers all those teams as well. And then there's youth sports. My kids play baseball and softball. And whenever we have an injury question, the first call is to JOI. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute has been serving Jacksonville for 30 years. And they have over 30 specially trained physicians and assistants at 5 locations in the area. If your injury is specific to an area of the body, JOI has a specialist. They also are leaders in robotic surgery, joint replacement, and sports medicine. JOI Rehab has 13 locations and 90 therapists to get you better. Comprehensive care with caring physicians and staff at JOI. From youth sports to high school, college, and the pros, Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. JOI. Go where all the pros go.
Stop by the new car sales event happening right now at Greenway Kia at the Avenues. $500 in a job gets you in a Kia. And Michael Montiero and the staff here at Greenway Kia are here to make it happen. Experience great customer service and become a part of their family. And while you're here, check out the Kia Forte GT line, full of comfort, innovation, and has driver assist technology. And how about the affordable new Kia EV9, the fast-charging, all-new electrical SUV with high-performance capability, 3-row seats with 304 miles of maximum driving range. Over 1,000 new Kia models, some starting at $199 a month. And as always, get the 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Come shop at Greenway Kia at the Avenues, located on Phillips Highway. You can shop online at greenwaykiaattheavenues.com. And remember, $500 and a job gets you in a Kia at Greenway Kia at the Avenues.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Investigative journalism. It's the difference between the Action News Jack style of news and everyone else's.
I'm Ben Becker. This scam is targeting residents on the South Side.
We investigate so you're crystal clear how a story impacts you.
I'm Emily Turner. Take a look at the fine print because you're still getting billed.
Because our reporters don't just tell you what happened. We break down how it affects you and your neighborhood, which is why people are putting their trust in us. Action News Jacks at 5 and 6. It's local coverage you can count on.
Swoop with the Ospreys. It's the busiest time of year on the campus of the University of North Florida. There's a lot going on at UNF. A good time to see the finish of the winter season and the start of the spring season. Check out the upgrades in facilities and check out the talent on the rosters. UNFOspreys.com for all things University of North Florida. You can get scores, schedules, news, tickets. UNFOspreys.com. And don't forget to swoop with the Ospreys.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Coming soon, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
Perfect Rack Billiards has a deal for you. 50-cent Wing Fridays during lunch. Get out of work early, get a head start on the weekend, or just take a lunch break. 11:30 until 3 p.m. on Fridays. Every Friday, Perfect Rack Billiards with 50-cent wings for lunch on Fridays. A perfect place to stop in Murray Hill, play some pool, play some darts, maybe some shuffleboard. Now, that's a heck of a lunch break. And get those 50-cent wings on Friday just to make it better. 11:30 to 3 p.m. on Fridays at Perfect Rack Billiards.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Oh, UNF. The Ospreys, man. That was a tough watch last night. The Ospreys have been so fun to watch all season long. Really, I told the coaching staff, I told some other folks, this is the most enjoyable team to watch probably since the heyday of 2015-16. They really were fun, especially on offense. Defensively last night, they got a couple of guys with foul trouble. They couldn't stop Austin Peay down the stretch, and Austin Peay ends up winning overtime. The ASUN officials were brutal down the stretch of that game, but that's nothing new. This was really on the Ospreys' defense. And ASUN is nuts. Jay, you got a huge win over the top seed. UNF would have hosted the semifinals and maybe even a championship game Sunday. This one's an agonizing one. It's going to be a tough one to swallow for the Ospreys. Even though they were picked 11th at the start of the season, they actually had a tremendous year in many respects. And fall last night to Austin Peay. In the quarters.
I'm just saying, watching Austin Peay do what they did, as they were Murray State's biggest rival.
You hate Austin Peay.
Back in the day, and the fact that Hamby let that play for an extra minute, I almost knocked the monitor off the table.
What did we
didn't need to see it.
Any thoughts on the coach on the announcer's table after the game?
Yeah, listen, I fired up. It's March, man. So
if you win, man, do whatever you want.
And here's the other thing about that. It was North Alabama beat Lipscomb. So there were upsets all over, which we knew it was going to. It was a wide open ASUN because they finally kicked Liberty out of the conference, or actually they moved themselves out of the conference. But finally, for years nobody could win it because of Liberty, and it was wide open. This is the way it should be in the ASUN. So still got two more matchups on Thursday night and a championship on Sunday. And JU really the Cinderella now as they've won a couple of games after really not having a terrific year and just sneaking in the tournament. Brent Martineau Austen Lane, Brent and Austin Show, Jason Hamby. And we got so hot on the Jags conversation in the last hour that we brought a mediator in.
There we go.
Scott Schroeder.
Brent.
What's that?
You may not like what side I'm on this deal.
I kind of know. In fact, I feel like you could get a little heated about what just goes on in Jacksonville, too. Big Jags fan here now.
There we go.
He pays attention to it. Scott Schroeder, the men's golf coach at UNF, they got a big event coming up. We actually are going to dissect John Bachman's swing, I think, live at St. John's Golf and Country Club soon. If we can get a good connection out there with John. He's trying to handle the technical side and his golf game at the same time, which really could get tricky. But the Jags, people are losing their mind. Josh Allen, Calvin Ridley, are you as bent as everyone else.
I'm okay on that stuff. That stuff will figure itself out. I mean, let's be honest. The NFL is about a lot of players. You got to have a lot of good players to win in the NFL. You look at the two teams that have been really good lately. They have tons of good players all over the field, and we just don't have enough. At the end of the day, I think in the trenches on interior defensive line and the interior offensive line just got manhandled this year. And at the end of the day, that's their job down there in the old stadium to figure out who's going to make that better.
Yeah, it is their job to try to figure it out. You guys, your daughter's at Alabama. How many Alabama games have you been to?
I went to 2 in the recruiting process. Did not go this fall.
Okay.
That day job gets in the way a little bit between trying to watch her play golf and then taking care of the team.
How is she playing?
Average. She fractured her elbow playing pickleball, so not normal for.
I didn't get that update.
Yeah, she did that over the holidays. Back playing now. She's playing. Might have just teed off here a few minutes ago. She's playing at an event in Hilton Head this weekend, the Darius Rucker, which is on TV later today.
Awesome.
Cool.
Very good stuff.
Everybody, pickleball. Stay away from it. It's trouble. I try to tell people.
Austin's been trying to be the
pickleball
I'm
so
killer.
anti-pickleball, it is what it is.
I enjoy it. It's fun to fire a freaking ball at somebody.
You just play tennis then. I don't. Yeah.
Well, you have to run too much, Austin. I'm old.
Okay.
You got the John Haidt coming up, so we'll hit all the bullet points here. But big golf tournament here in town. There are a lot of big golf tournaments, but this one usually draws a heck of a crowd. Give us a little preview of what's to come.
Yeah, it's really cool. So we've pivoted this year. We moved the event from February to basically rolling right into the players. The idea was, with the players next weekend, we're going to bring in the best college players the weekend before and have it finish on Monday and have a lot of the different tour players that maybe come in town from Bay Hill to watch their alma mater. So Alabama's a great example of this, right? Alabama will finish on Monday. Hopefully Justin Thomas maybe comes out and watches. Nick Dunlop, who just won on tour a few weeks ago, comes out and watches. So you take North Carolina, Alabama, Virginia, Duke. We're thinking we can get 5 to 10 tour players to come out and watch their alma mater.
That was good thinking.
So that because let's be honest, it's hard to get them in the same town at the same time for them to be able to watch their alums. And we think partner in the tours been really supportive of this situation moving forward, that hopefully down the road, the two schools that we'd really like to get down the road are Texas and Georgia. Texas and Georgia both have 4 or 5 guys on tour between Scheffler, Spieth, Brian Harmon. You go through all the different names. If we all of a sudden can get them to come as well, we really think this can make it a really fun environment. And then with all the PGA Tour U stuff that's going on, so you look at Nick Gabralczyk on our team. I think there's 5 or 6 guys that are really highly ranked in the event on PGA Tour U, and what that can do for them, so that it really allows the tour to do some marketing stuff with them throughout the course of the week as well with their production.
Is there another event on your circuit that actually can do this because you're near a PGA Tour event? Or, are you guys kind of in a great spot for that?
Yeah, the only other event that I know that does it is Augusta University does it with the Masters.
Okay.
So they play Saturday, Sunday, give out practice round tickets on Monday. And for us, we're playing Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and giving out practice round tickets on Tuesday. So all the schools are actually going to get to tour the global home, which I haven't had the privilege of doing that yet. But from what everybody's told me, the headquarters down there is unbelievable.
I haven't seen it amazingly either, but I've heard it's fantastic.
Yeah, so all the teams are getting to do that. So 3 or 4 teams are doing that Friday afternoon, and then the rest of the teams will do that Tuesday morning and then get to go to the Players' Championship all day. So it's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, that's good stuff. We're going to get to John Bachman in just a moment, but real quick thought on PGA Tour U. Has that been successful?
Yeah, it's been a home run.
Because I think the other 2 guys that were ahead of Gabralczyk, Nick Gabralczyk's their star guy, man. He's a PGA Tour player. UNF having him, heck of a steal, really, that UNF has him. And great job by Scott here and the staff. And him to stay here in this day and age, right? But I think a couple other guys before have already been on tour, right?
Yes.
That were ahead of him?
Well, they've played a couple times on tour. So Nick's played only once, but you got Christo Lambert, who plays for Georgia Tech, and you have Michael Thorbjornsen, who plays for Stanford. So they're 1 and 2. And they've separated themselves from Nick, and Nick somewhat separated himself from the 4th guy. The top 5, so the 2 through 5-ish, 6, depending on how some things play out, will have straight Korn Ferry status, which is great because the issue before was guys were considering turning pro because they wanted to get their pro career started. Well, now there's an incentive to stay because you guarantee yourself a place to play.
Okay.
And, and golf's the king sport where there's no contracts, typically speaking, when you turn pro. You're stuck. Whatever you make that week is what you make. Where every other professional sport, you're probably signing a deal, you're getting some guaranteed money. Well, this is now guaranteeing the better players a place to go and taking that stress of having to have one good week. Well, Nick's going to have an opportunity to play probably 10 times, maybe 12 times over the summer on the Korn Ferry Tour, which means if you play bad for 2 or 3 weeks, you don't have to freak out.
Yeah.
You have some wiggle room there to get yourself back into rhythm.
That's cool.
All right. Hey, Hamby, do you want to go to John right now, or do you want to go to the play day spot? Oh, we're going to go to John. Look at Bachman. Here we go, Schroeder.
Okay.
If you can help us out, you'll hear the voice of Scott Schroeder, the UNF men's coach. And
That's not too bad.
kind of swept it.
Dressed like an 18-year-old Ricky Fowler.
Little flippy at the bottom, but I mean that's pretty normal.
I think that is where are we at? Is that 16?
17.
17 at St. John's.
Hitting
a little hybrid.
I want to show you guys a real golfer. Say hi to
there's
Len
Len
Matisse.
Matisse.
Oh, Lenny.
Yes. Hey, guys.
Hey,
doing?
what's up, Len Matisse?
Oh,
former
loving
PGA
some
Tour
golf.
guy.
Other than being with Bachman, it's a good day.
Yeah, that's what we all say over here at Action News Jacks.
The true words were never spoken.
How are we playing, boys?
Len's had 5 birdies in the Bachman Birdie Challenge, so he's doing great.
What is the Bachman Birdie Challenge?
And our buddy Andy Lefersky has got 3 or 4. He's lighting it up as well.
Andy might play more. Andy might play more than Len, so that doesn't surprise me.
Andy definitely does. So yeah, there is actually a Bachman Birdie Challenge. It's ironic because, well, I don't make birdies. That's why it's called the Bachman Birdie Challenge. So if you can make a birdie, you automatically will win. And but it's on the Golf Gamebook app, which is partnered up. Sorry, that's my hand. Which is partnered up to donate some money to the First Tee of North Florida. We've got the Play Day thing that Len and I started. Well, it was back in 2020, right, Len, when COVID hit and nobody could do anything but play golf.
I think we're in our 5th year.
Yeah. And so we got a partner with Golf Gamebook app, which is fantastic. And they've donated some money. And then on their app, it's a scoring app. It's basically Instagram for golfers. And I'm going to let Andy hit his shot here. Let's see how he does.
Do we have to really be quiet? I mean, come on.
No, we're not being
Not in
quiet.
this
I mean,
group. Not in this group.
Talking your golf voice.
Go in
the hole. Go in the hole. This would be like the third chip and he
Pressure
had.
got to him there.
Come on. That was close, Loafer. All right, so here, Andy, you can take the reins here. But yeah, so Golf Gamebook app is they got this birdie challenge, so you can win some fun prizes and swag and stuff like that.
We're gonna play the spot a little bit later on your promo, but tell us a little more about Play Day, man. How people can get involved with it.
How can people get involved with Play Day, Joe?
Okay, so we'll post a link, but it's really easy on the on all my social media pages. I'm sure Brent's sharing it. There's a real easy way there's a link to go right to the First Tee North Florida Play Day link where you can sign up, you can donate. Every $10 that you donate, you register to win in a drawing a round of golf with Len Matisse at TPC Sawgrass, home of the players. And this year we've actually added, so if you're a non-golfer, which I don't know you'd be listening to this show if you were a non-golfer, but if you were,
right?
We have actually trips now you can win. And so anyway, there's a big drawing at the end of this whole campaign. And sign up, donate, download, and if you download the Golf Gamebook app, they'll donate an extra $5. So, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and by the way, Austin's not a golfer, but he is a fashionista. And Friday Fits come up on Friday, but it's Wednesday. So Wednesday, what's John wearing? How about Austin? Go get it.
That's going to be featured. I mean, obviously, we're talking about the Ricky Fowler edition. Now, Scott, you're obviously the expert here. A little too tight. I get John Bachman works out a lot. A little too tight in the bicep and tricep region to really get maximum extension in the arms, or am I just crazy?
I mean, I think you're maybe a little bit, but also Caddyshack line, you get a free bowl of soup.
I'm not a golfer, but I understand that.
Andy can tell you while I'm hitting the golf ball.
All right. Well,
Little right to left.
Okay, we'll watch
all right, so
the chip shot
we got a
first, and I'll
short
let you know
chip
about
here
that.
on the
Chip this in for the Bachman Birdie.
short side. He's got some green to work with, Schroeder, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got some green. I would.
Oh, that looks good.
That
That looks good.
That
Took a
looked
bad
good.
chance until it went off the face of my club. Took a bad
Is
pass.
he on the dance floor or not?
I think so. It probably ran away there. It's probably pretty quick greens at St. John's. So there you go. All right, we're going to keep an eye on you guys. We're going to talk a little more golf with Schroeder for now, but stay up on that camera so we can bounce back to you in a minute.
All right, sounds good. I got to tell you the story behind the shirt.
All right, we will hear that story and see your tee shot on the tough 18th at St. John's Golf and Country Club coming up in just a bit. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane. Need to break down at least the fashion part.
Well, I was letting him do his thing though. He was like, some good information there. So yeah, I didn't want to get in the way of him explaining the charity and everything.
Scott Schroeder joined us, UNF men's golf coach, and we got the John Haidt Invitational, really a prestigious event on the college scene. How do these guys, Sawgrass Country Club's one of the great places around here, and what a great test still, right? For where they used to have the players. We're in the 50th year of the Players Championship, by the way, that anniversary coming up this week, but heck of a test for even these guys who are so good.
Yeah, especially if the wind blows, right? They now hit the ball so far that if the wind doesn't blow, it can be somewhat easy. But that's a relative term. It's really easy for a kid like Nick Gabralchik who hits it really good. And, they got a handful, I think there's 6 guys ranked in the top 15 in the world amateur rankings. So when those guys play good, they look like tour players. So they can make it look a little bit easier, but like on a given day, I think it's supposed to blow 10 to 15 one of the days over the weekend. If that coming out of the Northwest will be very entertaining.
Yeah, what makes good? What makes Nick so good? What makes some of these top world-class amateurs on the fringe of being able to join these other guys? Because there's one thing in the golf world, and this is not like offensive linemen at the combine. You only make so many guys that are 315 pounds that can move and run like a 4.7 or whatever the heck they're running at, that crazy weight, and are agile and everything else. Golf, we got a lot of golfers. And there actually are a lot of really good golfers now. The PGA Tour is filled with them. We're seeing names we don't even know. And that's the case all over the world. So how are these guys so close, but yet still somewhat so far away?
Yeah. I mean, Nick is he just stripes it. He hits it unbelievable. Hits it pin high a lot, which is a really important key aspect of hitting a good shot. I mean, it's obviously a lot of guys can hit it online, but can you hit it online and control your distances well enough? And hits the ball out of the middle of the face a lot. I mean, you go through these guys in the field. I was fortunate enough, a kid from Virginia who's one of the higher ranked players, Ben James, played a practice round with my daughter about 3 years ago. I had no idea who he was. And like 6 holes in, I started doing some, like, who is this kid? And he was already committed to Virginia and the whole deal. And I'm like, yeah, this kid's unbelievable. And I think he's 5 in Wagger right now. So like, they're just different. So when you think about like that offensive lineman and like you watch them, they're different. Like they're different too.
Yeah, you can see it with your eyes.
You can see it with your eyes when you go watch it hole after hole after hole. They just, like Saturday morning for people, if they really want to have nothing to do and want to watch some golf, I think the 4th and 5th groups out will have our 2 best players, Nick and Robbie. Robbie, 190 ball speed. So guys that understand golf, that's top 1% of a PGA Tour players as speed. And then North Carolina and Virginia will also have guys that are unbelievably good. So, like, from a watching of golf Saturday morning, that I think it's our 8 o'clock and 8:10 pairings will really, really entertaining. And one of the neatest things about watching college golf versus the tour is, I think you almost walk down the fairway with them. Like, you walk right off the edge. There's no freaking ropes. You can really get in there and watch and get closer. And it's, I mean, I'll tell you, like physically, those guys that are good, they are better than tour players. Mentally, they're just not as good yet. Handling and then managing what they have, they're not as good at yet. Is usually the biggest jumps.
Well, and when you talk about the jumps too, going from a collegiate level to that professional level, I mean, it's all about the crowd, right? Like, I mean, the crowd becomes a huge factor at these big tournaments. I mean, is it as much as a factor as we think it is? Like, I remember watching the highlights from the Waste Management Tour, right? And fans were saying things to these golfers, and they got all upset. I mean, can that psychologically completely take you out of your game if you're talking about a big crowd who maybe is booing against you a little bit?
I think when you start to struggle, you hear the whispers, right?
Sure.
When you're playing good, it doesn't matter. But when you start to struggle, you start to hear the noise. It's the same as – because golfer is probably as close to kicker as we maybe have in sports.
That's a good pair.
If you think about it, because you have time to think about it, it's going to go somewhat quickly. But if I screw up, I got a lot of time to think about it, and I can't really put it behind me. And then you remember the demons sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big challenge as a golfer is getting into your own planet and blocking out that noise. And I think some guys are really good when they get out on tour of not letting that stuff bother them, and some of them it's hard.
Yeah.
Because as we know, there's a lot of drunks out there.
You can tell the guys that aren't very good at it, right? I mean, it's even taken, a guy like John Rahm is so gifted at times, a long time to control his emotions.
And he's having to listen to him, but he's finishing in the top 5 every week because he's just so good.
So talented. Scott Schroeder with us, UNF men's golf coach, and your program obviously has done a terrific job. Where's it at right now in terms of where you think you can get going into the early stages of spring to where you want to be and hopefully try to get into that match play?
Yeah, I mean, this is an end of a 4-year run, right? We we didn't really know we were pretty good when Nick was a freshman because you just didn't know he was that good. But he's the best player in program history. I've had a lot of good players, and it's not close. It was pretty interesting. I'll give you a quick story. I was at the basketball game the other night, and Dallas Moore was there. And
we got a T-shot here.
Dallas Moore was fangirling, wanting to meet Nick Belichick. And anybody that knows Dallas Moore, he was really good. And another guy asked, well, you're still the best athlete here? He goes, no, he's the best athlete in the history of UNF.
Wow, how about that?
So, I mean, he's going to be a four-time All-American, 2 or 3-time first-team All-American. Take him with Robbie, Andrew Riley, who's coming on. If we play good as we move forward, making NCAA finals is easily doable. And, the whole goal is to try to make match play.
Yeah, obviously get in that part of the dance, which is a cool
And if
setup.
Nick has a week, that last week, and go finish like he's capable of top 5 or 10, then we have the rest of the components to make a run at that.
That's pretty cool. Let's take a live back out St. John's Golf and Country Club. We just saw John Bachman swing. I don't know if you thought that was any good. Not bad.
That's not
swings
bad.
it okay?
Yeah, must be nice to have that much time to play golf. I work in the industry and I don't play this much golf.
Listen, that was the best swing of the day for me. I'm like 107 over.
How many times have you quit golf this year, John?
Well, you can chalk up another one today.
3 times today.
Come on,
so
up and hit.
So as a golfer, John, it's important to have your excuses. Who are you blaming?
But hang on a second. I'm playing with guys who are actually taking this serious for a second, and he's mad at me for talking. So hold on.
Oh my gosh, who is that?
There he is. He stripes it after all that.
Tiger Woods.
That's Kelly Kendall. He's my regular buddy.
Oh, Kelly.
Yep, you know Kelly.
Somebody beep a horn.
Yeah, I know. There he is.
Thanks, John.
See?
This is really tough to have Austin win over golf if we're worried about people talking in the backswing.
I couldn't agree more. You can't hurt my game. I do enough of it on my own. Look at that, Andy with a rope down the middle too. See these guys
Sounded
just
good.
me talking in the backswings.
I'm not sure if it's the Audio Technica headphones or if it was a really good shot, but it sounded good, Brent.
It did sound pretty good.
Yeah.
I couldn't get my headphones to work, guys. You'd think that I was in TV or something, and I knew what I was doing.
This is great, though. Don't go into the water there at St. John's Golf and Country Club.
By the way, this is into the wind today, too. Dead into the wind. So
that's a tough hole.
This is a tough hole today. It's always a tough hole, but we just have 4 drives in the middle of the fairway, which with Len, it's always in the fairway, but for us, it's a little bit more of a question mark.
Number 18 on St. John's Golf and Country Club, Into the Wind. I mean, Sawgrass obviously has some stuff, but public course-wise,
it's pretty good.
Might be the hardest one.
Yeah, the bunkers there, and if you hit in them, you probably can't hit the green, so therefore that makes it even harder.
Yeah, and if they put that back pin location, back left, whew.
Look, I nutted mine, and I'm one of these 3 balls here. Can you see the balls? I don't know if you can see them.
Is that a thing?
Yep.
Can we say that?
Mine,
Dump button? Hamby? Okay, okay.
Look. Now,
I'm awake.
Now,
What's up?
I want you guys to see where Len
I'm back.
Matisse's golf ball is. Hang on, I'm going to need a water break and some oxygen before I get over there. Hold on.
So is Austin.
Yeah.
Hold on.
EMS will be able to spot you with the shirt, though.
My mom watches the show.
They'll find me. Wait, there. That's Len's ball right there.
Okay.
So he dropped the hammer, and I bunted mine.
What's Len hitting it these days, like 290?
Len, what are you hitting it these days? About 280, 290? Yeah, 280. Maybe 300. Maybe 300, he says.
All right. You're playing with Bachman.
By the way, we got a big Lenny event coming up on Saturday at the Yards to prevent the Prevent Bullying campaign that he does. He does great work here in Jacksonville in Northeast Florida, and we got a fun event. I'll be out there emceeing that event on Saturday. So Len already has a lot of dollars rolling in for that cause, so congratulations to him. Really one of the nicest human beings that we have here in Northeast Florida, and a heck of a golf resume for him as well. All right, give us one more shot, and then once again, how do we get the play day information? How do we help out? How do we get people locked in, John?
All right, so I was trying really hard not to disrupt my buddy Kelly's swing because, we don't want to do that. There's real money on the line. But we got one more shot here. How far out am I, boys?
190.
190. That's the last. Golly.
Into the wind.
In my drive. I still
How far did that tee shot go?
What's Nick Gabrocek hitting here? Like a 7-iron?
Tee it up.
Into the wind, probably 6.
6.
A little flight at 6-iron.
I'm hitting like a rescue. I'll hit a 4-iron here, but maybe a rescue club.
Yeah, I got a 3 hybrid right here.
Yeah, you should.
I still won't get there.
You're almost 50.
We were all on the fairway. Yeah,
That is, I know. I
except
agree.
for land. Land's
All right, Scott Schroeder.
Okay.
This is the voice of Scott Schroeder. Take us through this.
We give a little play-by-play here. We got a little
Yeah.
waggle, really wristy waggle.
Gosh, I hope he rolls this.
Oh,
Did he pull his back?
I'm not sure what
Is his back
happened there,
okay?
but
It almost
It kind of glitched.
the camera froze a little bit to make it even
short
look
of the
worse
water.
than it was.
The spine is feeling a lot of pressure right now.
You know
The
what? You guys
L5 and
wanna see
L4
history.
disc might
John
be
Bachman's
shattered.
last round of golf ever.
Yeah, that's a piece of history. Hey, there's a place called iCryo down the road. You might want to go
I
visit.
think the club toss gets you a $1,000 fine on tour.
Can I tell you guys the story about my shirt and then please let me go so I can go cry?
Yeah.
All right. So, and this is fitting because Kelly and Andy's wives were all in on this. They bought us these shirts. Was it for Father's Day? Yes. Father's Day. And they kept, we kept canceling the golf and they kept saying, you guys got to wear these shirts. Each of our wives told us every time we thought we were going to go play golf, we had to wear these shirts. And finally, one day we all show up. I show up, I see Andy, he's got the shirt on. And then here comes Kelly, he's got the shirt on. And our wives just wanted to mess with us. Basically, so we all show up at the golf course with these godforsaken shirts. And that's why I
Unbelievable. A Father's Day gift? Hey, thanks for your service. Here's a ridiculous t-shirt.
Yeah, that's good stuff by the wives, though. That's well planned.
It was Andy's wife's idea. She's the brainchild. Nice shot, Len.
You guys are all still married?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Can't wait to see this year's gift.
I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be a rough one. Oh yeah, here. Check it out. Check it out, boys. That fine second shot that I hit.
Flash?
Thank you, Mr. Goose, for saving my golf ball.
Oh, yeah,
Nice,
okay.
nice
Look,
layup.
I think I took him out. He's a little wobbly.
Coming up, Bachman versus a goose. Easy.
Oh, man, he's...
Bachman.
Peter gets a little
Oh, he is looking a little wobbly.
He's like, I'm getting out of here. That dude's serious.
Take him out, man, yeah.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
All right. We're going to watch one more?
I mean, you might as well. It's good entertainment.
All right. Now we're going to let you go. We got to go to a break.
Don't kill any fish.
There's a good chance there's a fish that goes to die. Thank you very much for that, Coach. All right. Zoom in on this great lie that the bird left me. I mean, if the bird's going to save me, it could at least give me a better lie.
Just move it.
No, it's got a better chance of fish this way.
Patrick Reed would.
By the way.
Yeah, for sure. You'd have a tee.
All right.
Didn't take a warm-up. I like it, man.
About 110-yard shot right there.
I like his pace of play.
It went forward.
Yeah, that was pretty smooth, man. With all the pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Respect.
All right. Nice shirt. Play Day 2024. We'll tell people where to find more of it coming up, but have a good rest of your day. John Bachman, we'll see you tonight on Action News Jax on CBS 47, Fox 30.
Love it, guys. Thank you so much for having us. And yeah, it's $10, man. You know, if everybody does it, we will get to our goal very quickly.
All right, good deal. And a chance to win, by the way, around a golf at TPC Sawgrass, too. So check out Play Day 2024. Again, we'll share some of that information along the way. Brent Martineau Austen Lane, Scott Schroeder, the UNF men's golf coach, in here for, a bunch of different things to talk about John Bachman's swing. Good analysis there. Save the fish. While Bachman's out there at St. John's Golf and Country Club. Also, the John Haidt Invitational coming up this weekend. We just talked about it. Heck of an event. Go watch those guys play Saturday, Sunday into Monday. 3-day event. And then those guys, you might see them poking around out at TPC Sawgrass during the practice round on Tuesday. And down the road, you might see some of those guys playing in the Players' Championship at TPC Sawgrass. And I know because you love talking Jags so much, what do you want them to do with the 17th pick? What would you do? GM Scott.
I'm helping Trevor. It's an offensive league, and something to help Trevor. And I think it's a huge deal moving forward that it's got to be around that guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm signing him to a long-term deal this year, trying to get it on the cheap, and trying to say we want you here for 15 years, and it's you. And I'm doing anything I can to make his situation be successul.
I would hire him.
Yeah.
Because I feel the same.
He all checks out. Yeah, I mean, it checks out. Yeah, I think we all kind of on the same. Hey, help Trevor Lawrence as much as possible.
You actually, yeah, I think that's not always in the MO, especially if a guy like Bulky, right? You want to go interior, bigger guys, all this stuff. It's
Long
like,
arms.
No, how about we just go help the quarterback who's the franchise? Like, do all you can. You can't miss if you try to do that.
Yep.
As long as you try to do that. And you segue nicely because with all the Ridley talk and all Josh Allen talk, When we come back from break, I do want to talk a little bit about Trevor. How important what we just saw with Josh Allen, that the Jags get this thing done now. Why wait? We'll talk about it when we come back.
I was going to say, too, I mean, just because Calvin Ridley's gone now, possibly there might be some new agents, free agents will open up on the market right now in terms of a number one wide receiver. Could be on the market we could talk about.
All right, we'll do that when we come back. Brent and Austen Show. Thanks to Scott Schroeder for stopping by. Check out the UNF men's golf team. You can go check out UNFospreys.com for their complete schedule and everything about the John Haidt Invitational, really one of the great collegiate events across the country. And the Ospreys have one of the best programs in the country and one of the best players in the country. And, well, at least because he's here, we'll say one of the best coaches in the country. TPC Sawgrass. Quiet now. We'll be rocking next week for the Players' Championship. Go where all the pros go. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute takes care of athletes at the highest level, like the Jacksonville Jaguars players. They will take care of you, too. Our team covers a lot of teams here in Jacksonville. FSCJ, JU, the Axemen, the Jumbo Shrimp, the Sharks, and, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. JOI covers all those teams as well. And then there's youth sports. My kids play baseball and softball. And whenever we have an injury question, the first call is to JOI. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute has been serving Jacksonville for 30 years, and they have over 30 specially trained physicians and assistants at 5 locations in the area. If your injury is specific to an area of the body, JOI has a specialist. They also are leaders in robotic surgery, joint replacement, and sports medicine. JOI Rehab has 13 locations and 90 therapists to get you better. Comprehensive care with caring physicians and staff at JOI. From youth sports to high school, college, and the pros, Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. JOI. Go where all the pros go.
Stop by the new car sales event happening right now at Greenway Kia at the Avenues. $500 in a job gets you in a Kia. And Michael Montiero and the staff here at Greenway Kia are here to make it happen. Experience great customer service and become a part of their family. And while you're here, check out the Kia Forte GT line, full of comfort, innovation, and has driver assist technology. And how about the affordable new Kia EV9, the fast-charging, all-new electrical SUV with high-performance capability, 3-row seats with 304 miles of maximum driving range. Over 1,000 new Kia models, some starting at $199 a month. And as always, get the 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Come shop at Greenway Kia at the Avenues, located on Phillips Highway. You can shop online at greenwaykiaattheavenues.com. And remember, $500 and a job gets you in a Kia at Greenway Kia at the Avenues.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot, any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Investigative journalism. It's the difference between the Action News Jack style of news and everyone else's.
I'm Ben Becker. This scam is targeting residents on the South Side.
We investigate so you're crystal clear how a story impacts you.
I'm Emily Turner. Take a look at the fine print because you're still getting billed.
Because our reporters don't just tell you what happened. We break down how it affects you and your neighborhood, which is why people are putting their trust in us. Action News Jacks at 5 and 6. It's local coverage you can count on.
Swoop with the Ospreys. It's the busiest time of year on the campus of the University of North Florida. There's a lot going on at UNF, a good time to see the finish of the winter season and the start of the spring season. Check out the upgrades in facilities and check out the talent on the rosters. UNFospreys.com for all things University of North Florida. You can get scores, schedules, news, tickets. UNFospreys.com. And don't forget to swoop with the Ospreys.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Coming soon, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
Perfect Rack Billiards has a deal for you. 50-cent wing Fridays during lunch. Get out of work early, get a head start on the weekend, or just take a lunch break. 11:30 until 3 p.m. on Fridays. Every Friday, Perfect Rack Billiards with 50-cent wings for lunch on Fridays. A perfect place to stop in Murray Hill, play some pool, play some darts, maybe some shuffleboard. Now, that's a heck of a lunch break. And get those 50-cent wings on Friday just to make it better. 11:30 to 3 p.m. on Fridays at Perfect Rack Billiards.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
It was always the Jags. It was always the Jags. And what will the Jags do in the draft? What can the Jags do in free agency to kind of maybe fill some said holes? You know, there's a couple players out there. A few rumors that are circulating Twitter right now.
Oh.
Trending topics on Twitter, if you will.
Figured you'd be coming back into this with the wrestling segment.
Oh, yeah, my bad. So AEW Dynamite said, don't worry about that.
Sneaking it in.
We're going to have a whole hour of wrestling later because that was a whole hour of golf.
That was a long segment of golf.
Whole hour of wrestling coming up. Brent, feel free to head out early if you want to. I'll take it from here. Some reports saying, and once again, I mean, rumors, sources, call it what you want, saying that Denver could be looking to release Courtland Sutton and possibly trade Jerry Jeudy. Your thoughts?
My first thought is they don't do a bundle for me, but it's a nice, like, I think a guy like Trevor can make Jerry Jeudy better. I think a guy like Doug can make Jerry Jeudy better, or Courtland Sutton even better. So, like, I do think I have that belief in those kind of guys. I really do. I haven't lost that. Some people may have, but I haven't. And so I don't mind the idea of it. And more people available gives you more options. But I think, honestly, Austin, my thought on those two guys, and maybe it's just because they're in Denver, is they've been kind of disappointing, or a lot disappointing.
They have been. I think if you're looking for a true number one receiver, I think Courtland Sutton would fit that mold a little better. Right? Just in terms of the size and stature.
Gives you something that you maybe don't have, right?
Correct, and he's got the deep ball ability, the 50-50 ability. Now, as a route runner, can he run every single route in the tree? That's debatable. But I do feel like it's a guy you want to at least take a look at. You know, I mean, who would you rather have, Calvin Ridley or Courtland Sutton?
I feel like I'd rather actually have Ridley.
Okay.
But there's another element of this, and it's the type, right? It's the body type. It's the style of the receiver. Again, the Jags could be physical on that outside. What do I think the Jags are missing in general on their football team? Physicality. Like, you can still get it from that position. I know people think physicality, they think the trenches, but I think you could get it there. So I think, because I know and have seen up close Calvin Ridley and the talent, I think he's got more talent. I really do. But I could be talked into Sutton.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of big playability, in terms of being a red zone threat, you know, Courtland Sutton had 10 touchdowns last year with Russell Wilson, who you're not even really that sold on.
Yeah, can't believe it.
Yeah, so, I mean, decent numbers, only 700 yards last season, or 772 yards. He's never eclipsed. Okay, he's eclipsed 1,000 yards one time in his career, and that was back in 19. His only Pro Bowl campaign. What's up? What's up in the kids' corner over there?
The 10 touchdowns is appealing, but you have 5 other seasons and 14 total touchdowns in those 5.
Yep. No, I mean I hear you.
Yeah, Peyton got him, but that's Peyton. Wilson played better. He performed. Peterson. Trevor, could you perform? I think so. You know, listen, the Broncos have the crazy story, and maybe overlooked story in the NFL, and I know we don't talk about the Denver Broncos very often, but, man, they've been a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, the Broncos have been a mess the last handful to 7-8 years since Peyton. So, and they're, by the way, they're still a mess right now. And that is a proud and an organization that you think is like good, right? And they've really been kind of messy. So he's been a part of that. He's been a part of that messiness. Judy's been a part of that messiness. That'd be interesting. I know, listen, more options, like I said, are good. I still feel like, Austin, when it comes to receiver, I can get more excited about some of these young receivers. I understand the hesitation that comes with that because you got to pick the right one. I get it. Mm-hmm. I actually think, though, there's less of a miss rate on receivers now in the NFL coming up through the draft because that position is played so well. The passing in college, the 7-on-7 stuff, like I think it's easier to hit on the receiver. Now, is it easy to find the star guy? Well, if so, Justin Jefferson would have been a top 5 pick, right?
Correct.
So maybe not, but it shows you can still get a quality receiver. Now, in that very draft, I think you had Rager, who was a big bust. The Eagles took him right before Jefferson.
Yeah.
So, but the CD Lambs of the world, like we felt like he was going to be good. He was good. Justin Jefferson, obviously people thought he was going to be good enough to be picked in the top 25. He is good. Like those, I don't know what that rate is, but doesn't it feel like that hit rate on receiver is pretty strong early in the draft?
I mean, it does, but at the same time, I think it's comparable where we talk about if you take a wide receiver in the first round, you're expecting to get a Justin Jefferson. You're expecting to get a Jamar Chase, right? And that's what you want. If you draft the wrong guy and you look one pick ahead of you, for instance, let's say the guy from Washington goes right ahead of Jacksonville, so Jacksonville takes the second guy out of LSU. I'm John Blake.
Brian.
I'm sorry.
Brian Thomas.
Yeah,
okay,
Thomas.
I thought you were talking about the top of the
No, Odunze, like say Odunze becomes a reincarnation of another Jamar Chase. And then we have Thomas who's like, that could theoretically, I don't think every single wide receiver in this first round is going to be legit.
Yeah, I get you.
So you have to pick the right one, and that makes you nervous.
Yeah, it does. But you said, for your evaluation, your thought, like Franklin isn't as high on your list, but he might be one that is high on some people's list, and he ends up working out to be really good.
He could be the real deal. It's just, when I want a one receiver, I want a guy that's a little bigger, right? Like Franklin, I think is like 170-something pounds. I forgot like what he was at the combine.
6'2", 175.
Okay, 175. Yeah, I mean, that's a little on the skinny side.
Nah, you want big. Yeah, that's what they're missing. Like I said, physical. Can you get yourself a physical? But then, it's actually the replacement of potentially Ridley. If you can replace Ridley with a more physical player on the outside, but can give you some of the traits of that true number one. The problem with Ridley as being a true number one is he can't do some things. The reason he can't do some things is because he's not a physical player. Now he can outrun you. He's a technician. He's an excellent route runner. He's got all these other great traits. Yeah. But he's not that, which makes him incomplete as a true number one. That's why people hesitate to put him there, right?
No, for sure. And listen, I kind of go against my word a little bit here, too, because I see a guy like Tyreek Hill. Any team would want Tyreek Hill right now. Any team would want to pay what Tyreek Hill is making right now because he's such a game changer. And guess what? Yeah, he's the one receiver, but he ain't built like a one receiver.
But he's a unicorn.
Okay.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
There's nobody like him.
No, there's nobody like him. Correct. Yeah, so I would agree with that.
When you're a unicorn, you don't get grouped.
Yeah, but I would say Cooper Kupp 2 years ago was a unicorn.
Okay, but like Lamar Jackson to me is a unicorn in the NFL. Right?
Okay.
There are a lot of good quarterbacks in the NFL, but nobody does what Lamar does, which makes him be. Maybe you can get away with not being the best passer in the NFL or the this, the that, whatever, but you do this instead. So Tyreek, in my opinion, can get away with not being tall or not being this or that because he does other stuff that just nobody does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, that's a little bit different. So my point is I'm kind of defending you here. I don't think you're really talking out both sides of your mouth in that, saying that. I think most players that we categorize or evaluate or look into in the NFL, they do feel like a bucket, right? You can put them in a certain category.
Yes.
Big, tall wide receiver, physical wide receiver, fast wide receiver, take the top off, technician, good hand. You can do all that stuff. A guy like Hill, he's an outlier in my opinion, but all these other players that we're talking about, they could fill that bucket. Who's going to replace Christian Kirk someday? See, that's my problem with Parker Washington, who actually flashed for the Jags. He's actually the guy that could potentially replace Christian Kirk someday, and I'm not saying like even as good, but in that spot. So like he really is even going to help you this year. You hope Christian Kirk is really healthy. One of your guys that actually flashed a bit at times was Parker, but he might not even play that much.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. And at the same time, too, like, you want to talk about speed? Well, Brian Thomas ran a 4.33.
4.33, man.
So, I mean, that should be enough speed for anybody.
That gets you excited.
Yeah.
Hey, wanted to tease this a little bit. The Josh Allen stuff. See, my view on Josh Allen is they missed not signing him a couple years ago or last year. I haven't really asked you your view on that, though. Would you have signed him at 7.5 sacks coming off last season?
I mean, I think you saw the numbers in terms of the quarterback pressures, so you would hope that would turn into quarterback sacks. Yeah, I mean, I probably would have signed him because to me, it had been like the Yannick Ngakoue situation where it's like, okay, I mean, listen, I'll be honest, Brent. I didn't know he was going to have 17.5 sacks this season. I don't think anybody did. Right? Like, I imagined double-digit sacks the following year for Josh Allen, but I could never fathom over 15 sacks, and that's just my opinion. So do I blame them for not signing him? Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you mean to tell me that you're going to cut your best at the time, and I think it's all agreeable, your best defensive lineman that you drafted – that has been nothing but a pleasure, I feel like, to have in that building. Zero problems, zero issues, always says the right thing, seems like a leader. If you're going to let him go, or that was the plan to let him go, yeah, I think there's some blame that needs to fall on you.
Yeah, I think, again, my view on it, I've said it multiple times now, just repeat it real quick, is that I think you just have to have the vision of this. Like, your job is to have the vision 2 years ago when you could have done a deal, or last year when you could have done a deal, and now it's costing you money, it costs you leverage, and it costs you potentially a receiver in Calvin Ridley because you didn't have that deal done. You didn't have that vision. You didn't think he was as good as he ended up being. Listen, I didn't know he was 17.5 sack good this year either. It was an unbelievable year. But I did think he was 12.5, 13.5, 14 sack good. Like, I thought he was that kind of talent. And it doesn't mean I'm right. I think a lot of things over the years, and it doesn't mean I'm right. It ain't my job to be right. That's the point. Yep. It's your job to be right. Talking to the Jags brass down there. And really where this goes to for me is we just saw this whole dynamic play out. And maybe the Jaguars will be in a different dynamic next year, and they probably will be based on salaries and age and roster build and everything else. But doesn't this scream of, okay, you had the chance to sign Josh early, project that he could be a cornerstone player for you for years to come. You didn't. It cost you more money. You have a chance this offseason to sign Trevor Lawrence. You think he's your guy for years to come. Doug said it. Trent said it. Everybody said it. We think it. You probably think it for the most part. Then why wouldn't now the Jaguars try to get a deal done this offseason? Don't they almost have to, based on what we just saw with Josh Allen, to go get a deal done now with Trevor Lawrence rather than wait and be stuck in a situation?
No, because you got to take care of other guys first. You got to take care of Josh Allen. I mean, really now we'll see. Like,
I don't mind if it's in August. I'm saying this offseason. I'm not telling you right now, like tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm saying this, like, do they have to have him signed up? Is it in the best interest of this organization, in this front office, to have him locked in by the time we kick off in September?
Yeah, I mean, it would help because you think he's going to elevate his game, but at the same time, we're talking a quarterback contract. You think Trevor Lawrence would take a discount?
Oh, I don't. Probably not.
I think so. You get so.
But he might be cheaper than next year when he maybe has a Pro Bowl season and the price goes up.
But how do you justify? You think Trevor would get top 5 money?
I have believed that the Jags, when Trevor gets paid, he will slot in at that next quarterback spot. Now, where that is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think it's going to be a very similar deal to Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert.
So a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a quarterback top 5 money when he's not even close to being a top 5 quarterback right now. From a business standpoint, and I get that's not what we're talking about. We're from talking about just the emotion standpoint. But from a business standpoint, is that kind of hard to justify?
I mean, the Chargers just did it.
Justin Herbert had some pretty good numbers.
I'm not taking him over Trevor Lawrence before this last year when they gave him the contract.
I mean, do we want to compare the Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence numbers? You play the game?
I mean, I'm just saying before it doesn't youth and franchise and all of that I think has a bigger deal contract wise with how much you're paying him. You're going to pay him as a top 5 quarterback even if he's not, just because of who he is and what he means to your franchise.
So Justin Herbert's thrown 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 38 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And obviously, in terms of yards, a whole bunch of yards as well.
Okay, but there's more than just numbers. I mean, he can't win.
Okay. But do you think that's Justin Herbert's fault?
It's
got to fall on some of the quarterbacks.
I saw.
Well, of course.
It depends how you do. You think was it Trevor Lawrence's fault that they failed to make the playoffs this year? Like, I don't know.
I mean,
was it his fault they gave him Urban Meyer in year one?
Okay, so here's the thing. I think Justin Herbert has elevated his team more than Trevor Lawrence did this past year. Like when we talk, okay, we're not talking about the Chargers offense, are we? A lot. I mean, obviously there were some injuries this year, but I'm saying predominantly it wasn't the Chargers offense that got them in trouble, I think.
Yeah, listen, I think Herbert's very good. I think this is a same category. I agree with actually what Hamby's saying here is the fact that it doesn't matter if you think he's a top 5 quarterback as much as do you think he's your franchise quarterback? You know what I mean? Like, I think what you're saying
Well,
is
I'm saying Justin Herbert's a franchise quarterback hands down because he has the numbers to back it up.
top 5 quarterback, but I think Trevor Lawrence is your franchise quarterback.
Okay, but I still think some people are saying is he? I think there's still a question with Trevor Lawrence. Well, I mean, listen, we've seen a lot of good, but we've seen some like plays where it's like, what was that?
Okay, so you're feeding very well into this conversation. There's a couple of things you're saying that are really interesting to me.
Okay.
Let's stay on this part of it, but I want to circle back to the business side of it, the top 5 stuff you mentioned, everything else. But this is exactly what we were saying last year about Josh Allen. If we were having a show and we were having this conversation, he's coming off 7.5 sacks, and I say, hey, Austin, pay him. You're like, well, I mean, has he proved enough? He had 10.5 sacks his rookie year, went to the Pro Bowl. But what's he done since? He's been injured. He's been inconsistent. He's been this. He's been that. Would you have signed him? No. It sounds like what you're saying is no, I wouldn't have.
No,
I had to wait to
because we're talking about an edge rusher and we're talking about the most important player in football.
It's the most important position on defense.
That doesn't matter. Would you rather have an elite quarterback or elite defensive end?
I'd rather have both.
Would you rather have an elite quarterback or elite defensive end? You can only have one.
I'd rather have the quarterback.
Okay.
But I don't understand why it's not the same. You're still talking about a lot of money in a big-time position.
Correct, but to invest everything into a quarterback means everything. Like if you pay a quarterback a ridiculous contract and it doesn't work out, that's a problem. Okay, at least with a defensive end, it's like, okay, I mean, maybe you can't have an off year. Maybe you progress next year. When you pay a quarterback what you pay a quarterback, you need him to be that top 5 quarterback.
Do you think Trevor Lawrence is going to be here next year and the year after that? And the year after that?
Yeah.
The Jags have said the same. And I guess that's my point. If you believe that he is your guy because you have seen more, he's 24 years old, we could have done more things around him, he's already done this, he's shown me this. Again, this is where I come back to the vision of it. This is where you have to be the visionary here. So as a front office guy, not you necessarily, but as a GM, you that knows football, you have to be able to say, this is our guy. No doubt. He's our guy. We can pay him. We're not going to make that mistake because that's not a mistake that's going to be made. He's going to be here for the next 10 years. And we're going to put more around him this year, and you're going to see it. So I can only go on what Doug Peterson coming out of the combine, coming out of the year, Trent Baalke coming out of the year, coming out of the combine. These guys believe in Trevor Lawrence. If you believe that he is your guy, which I think a lot of other people do too,
but I still think people want to see more.
That's fine, but this is the point. You can't have everything. You can't just make the deal.
You don't have to pay him.
Make the deal.
You can see.
Well, then this is what we got into. This is why we have Josh Allen right now. That's my point. You want to wait and pay him when you want to pay him. When it comes to the deadline at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday, you want to say, take the money we're offering you. You've got to say yes. You couldn't pay him
last year? You couldn't pay him this last season? During the season?
Nobody does it, Austin. Nobody does it during the season.
Okay.
Very few do it.
Okay.
What you don't know is, did Josh's people say wait? Did the Jags not want to do it? I don't know the semantics of that. But not a lot of deals are done during the season. There are a few, but not a lot.
Okay.
A lot of people say, don't talk to me during the season.
Sure.
Most of the quarterbacks that are doing deals like, hey, let's get this done because I don't want to talk to you during the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Could they? Maybe. Could they have on December whatever paid him? Maybe.
Well,
but
I'm just saying.
That's not the point. It's more
Well,
like you got to do it.
No, it's the point too.
No, you got to do it last year.
Was there any word out of that stadium that said, you know what, the Jaguars are talking to Josh Allen during the season? Do we hear any kind of rumblings whatsoever?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing that I know. If he had a.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't know if that's a Jags thing or if it's a Josh Allen thing.
If you're Josh Allen, like, number one, you're not talking to Josh Allen. You're talking to Josh Allen's people.
I get it. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's a Josh Allen people thing.
So they don't want to talk they don't want to talk money? Okay. Okay. Maybe they weren't entertaining money at the time. Maybe they were focused on Josh Allen doing his thing. Maybe his representation said, you know what? We're not going to talk to you right now. We don't care about a contract. Wait till the end of the season. I would have to believe that if you were truly interested, you would have talked to him during the season as well.
Well, who knows what a cup of coffee is or a phone call versus an actual contract negotiation. My point is you had an option to do it last August and get ahead of it.
And they didn't.
Yeah,
absolutely. And they screwed up there, right? Hindsight's 20/20 without a doubt. But what I'm saying, if you want to try to cover your bases, then why not do it during the season?
Yeah, I just don't know how that worked out. I really don't. So I don't have enough information.
I'll tell you how it worked out. It probably didn't work out at all because we probably would have heard at least some kind of rumors circulating if it was working out.
Yeah, maybe. I know this. Josh Allen was so damn locked in, I guarantee you that he did not want his agent telling him what kind of contract offers on the table.
That's not
in the middle.
Then don't.
Well, you're telling me that your agent isn't going to tell you about, hey, they just came to us with a deal?
I'm telling you an agent could be like, all right, if this is a real deal, if this is the real deal that Josh Allen could want, Josh, we might have to sign this here because they're offering you a lot of money. Okay, cool. And we'll go from there. You control how much your client can hear and is privileged to in terms of contracts. You can straight up say, hey, man, just go play football. I'll handle the contract. We'll talk later. Those conversations can happen.
And we just don't know what that relationship's like. That's why I have a hard time discussing. I just don't know it. I don't know who's wanted what, who said what, if anything was ever even thrown out there. I just would say that it's very unique to have these kind of deals done at that time of year.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't happen a lot. Now, it does happen. I think we probably had a couple of deals actually done in early December. The Jags have done very moderate deals over the years. Like, once the season has started, Miles Jack comes to mind on, like, Labor Day weekend, and also, like, a Senderick Marks deal that happened in, I think, December one time comes to mind for me. But I really think the time to do this is prior to the season. And I think the Jags are in the exact same situation with Trevor Lawrence. You're bringing up, is he a top 5 guy? Is everybody sold? Should we wait and see? Can we get a deal? No, the way to do it is to have a vision, have a belief, be right, get the deal done now, save a little bit money probably next year, also save the idea of things getting a little muddy because now you're playing on the 5th-year option. You might have to tag them in a couple of years.
Do what you got to do.
All this stuff.
Okay, Brent, but let me ask you this then. Is Trevor Lawrence Patrick Mahomes?
No.
Okay. Is Trevor Lawrence Joe Burrow?
Maybe.
Is he right now Joe Burrow? Has he gone to the Super Bowl?
No.
Okay. So if those are the conversations that we're having, and we give Trevor Lawrence $100 million, well, if you give him $100 million, that is going to be taken from someplace else. So now other guys around the league, free agents, things aren't coming to Jacksonville. So are you confident what you have in place right now to be successful? Because I hate to tell you, when you pay a quarterback $100 million, you don't have a lot of guys around him, it doesn't always work out so well because he's not Patrick Mahomes.
Is he Jalen Hurts? Who do you take, Jalen Hurts right now or Trevor?
I'd probably take Jalen Hurts.
Interesting.
I mean, once again, with the Eagles roster, I would take Jalen Hurts.
Is he Tua?
I mean, I think Tua is a product of his environment. But
he's about to get paid.
Because look what Tua's got, though.
Yeah,
Tua's got Tyreek Hill.
I just have a feeling we're going to be sitting here doing a show next year, right around this time of year, and people are going to be like, well, you should have paid him before.
Okay. Then give him all the money right now, and then let's see what we can get for weapons for him. And good luck to you.
That's just kind of the game,
I hope it works. What's the game?
You can't have it all.
I know you can't, but you can still extend it eventually. You don't have to have it all right now. You can let him play this year. Then you can go ahead and if you got to bring the 5th-year option, so be it. And if you want to take him, then so be it.
I'm a little surprised that you're willing to go the 5th-year option, so be it, on the most important position and player in franchise history, maybe the history of this organization.
Because I'm trying to give him the most weapons to be that guy.
But for Josh Allen, you wouldn't do that because of what the money says.
Because he's not a quarterback. I'm trying to give Trevor Lawrence the most weapons to succeed. I want to see Trevor Lawrence succeed. If I give Trevor Lawrence $100 million, what else are we going to have?
You draft a guy.
Oh, good luck with that then, because that's played off so well. Oh, no, for sure. Do it.
I mean,
let's see what happens.
That's the business. You've got to have this kind of vision and the ability to do it. Listen, that's a different conversation. That's a Shad Khan problem conversation with who he has making decisions. Which
that kind of goes hand in hand.
Everybody has brought that up. But if it's about taking care of your cornerstone players only, whether it was Bill Polian, the GM right now, or Trent Baalke, I just don't understand how we can have the conversation that we've just had for the last couple of weeks around Josh Allen and say, well, we're going to just wait and see about Trevor Lawrence if he's really as good as we think he is.
Okay.
Because you might be in the same damn boat next year.
Okay.
What if you want to tag? Hey, I got one for you.
Hit me with it.
Here it is. Next year, now the only difference here is you do have the fifth-year option. But let's just say this would play, if you had Tyson Campbell coming off a Pro Bowl year next year.
Okay.
And you have Trevor to pay.
Okay. How does Trevor do?
He didn't have the fifth-year option. But
well,
he did
I know,
fine.
but that's everything.
Well,
that's the price of being a first-round pick. That's the price of being number one overall. Like, you have that fifth-year option.
Okay, give me a guy that's in 2 years going to be up then. You play him on the fifth-year option next year, Trevor. All right?
Cisco, or is that next year also?
No, I'd be one more. So who would be up? Second, third-round guy, potentially. That could be good. Oh, how about like Devin Lloyd? So Devin Lloyd goes and has 2 Pro Bowl years. This is now 2025. You've played on the fifth-year option for Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
So now you have the same exact situation where you've got, are you going to tag Lloyd or are you going to tag Trevor? Are you going to work out a long-term deal?
I mean, I would probably tag Trevor and work out a long-term deal if he's really the guy. Like, I have to see what the numbers look like.
He is the guy. Under Josh Allen's, he had a great year.
Okay, so here's the thing. So you said Devin Lloyd, 2-time Pro Bowler. He gets 2 Pro Bowls. Is Trevor Lawrence Pro Bowler? Yeah, then Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. Simple as that. Trevor Lawrence.
But you can't tag. You don't have the deal done because then it's too hard of a deal.
Then tag him.
Okay, and then you let Devin Lloyd walk.
Okay. Then replace the linebacker. You're keeping Trevor Lawrence.
All right. Well, then guess what?
If he just won 2 Pro Bowls,
then nobody should be upset around here. Just let Ridley walk, and you replace Ridley. That's what we just did. Why are we all upset?
Because Ridley's not Trevor Lawrence, man. Ridley is not a quarterback.
No, Ridley's Lloyd in this instance.
Okay. I'm so confused, man, with this whole thing.
I don't understand. You have 2 players to take care of at the same time. That's what we just did. And you didn't have 2. Everybody on this chat, everybody in Jags everywhere said you should have had the Josh Allen deal done earlier.
Okay.
Are we going to get a situation next year or 2 years where we say you should have had the Trevor deal done earlier?
What happened with Blake Bortles?
Oh, can we please not compare Trevor Lawrence to Blake Bortles?
Well, Blake Bortles.
Well, you're really down on Trevor, it sounds like.
I'm not down on Trevor. I'm up on a guy who took the Jaguars to a playoff run.
I mean, you did have him at 18 in your rankings.
Did Blake Bortles not take the Jaguars? Like, wasn't he the quarterback of an offense that helped the Jaguars get to a playoff run?
He absolutely was.
That was one play away from going to the Super Bowl.
He was.
Where if he would have went to the Super Bowl, he would have been paid regardless what people thought about it. So we're talking about Myles Jack wasn't down. If that play never happened and Blake Bortles goes to the Super Bowl, you're guaranteed going to pay him, because how could you by not paying him?
Well, because they should have been smarter and not paid him, because he wasn't the guy. He had a good run.
Okay. Because we didn't know? I mean, so we're saying that we didn't know with Blake Bortles?
Well, we
didn't know?
What we knew.
But I'm saying from our standpoint, we didn't know. I guess, right? So do we know what Trevor Lawrence? I mean, we hope so.
I do know what Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
I do know.
Okay. It's a guarantee.
If you're talking to me about Bortles and Lawrence, I know Trevor Lawrence. Yes.
I am not comparing Blake Bortles to Trevor Lawrence.
You're asking me if I know.
My point is that Blake Bortles helped lead a team that was one play away from going to the Super Bowl. And if he would have went to the Super Bowl, no one would have had an issue with paying him. The issue came because of one play from Myles Jack. So you pay Blake Bortles. Now, with Trevor Lawrence, do we know for sure he is the guy? I can sit here and say, I hope he is, but I don't know for sure.
Well, then you think differently. Again,
I do.
That. Hamby, do you think Trevor Lawrence is the guy?
Yeah, he. First of all, he is the guy.
Why?
Oh my God.
No, seriously, I'm asking a question. Why is Trevor Lawrence the guy?
I mean, you look at what he did in 2022, and then last year, you gotta take that with a grain of salt. And the guy had 6 freaking different injuries and no O-line, and the defense fell apart, and you can't blame the 5 out of 6 losses just on him. He's still the guy. He's still a top 10 quarterback, in my opinion.
So we're saying Trevor Lawrence is the guy because the defense sucked last year.
No, he's the guy because he's shown the flashes that he can be an elite quarterback. You screwed him in year 1 of his rookie deal. You just go ahead and take that out, and you look at his the stats and everything, the eye test of the last 2 years, he is the guy. And even if he wasn't, he almost still has to be because of the current state of the franchise, because of how much stock has been put into him, because he's the number 1 overall pick, because, there's just 10 different reasons. Even if he wasn't, and I do believe he is, he almost still has to be. You don't really have any other options. You got to pay him and make him the guy who is our quarterback for the next 5 years, and then hopefully the next 5 years after that.
Okay. So it sounds like, you've made up some points, but you just said he still has to be, right? Even if he's not, he has to be the guy of what they invested. So then if he's truly maybe not the guy, why not invest in him next season?
Yeah, again, you can't. You can't invest with him next season. It might cost you more money, and you might get put in a situation that you're in. I was totally balancing this situation with Josh Allen, where you could have done it earlier instead of getting stuck losing leverage. Guess what? If you go to next year, you lose leverage. You pay even more dollars, most likely, for Trevor Lawrence, if he is the guy, and then you get stuck maybe not being able to keep somebody else because you're stuck at the franchise tag deadline or the whatever deadline because you're losing all that stuff. So they just really, this whole exercise is, if you just learned that Josh Allen, who you thought was really a franchise cornerstone, even if he had just shown some signs of it by that point, but it was brewing, then why didn't you get it done earlier? You would have got done cheaper. You would have been able to keep Calvin Ridley, all this other stuff. And that's really all I'm saying. If you think, now if you don't think, then don't think it. Like, that's fine. Like, there are some guys you don't think, well, then you can't do it. But you have to make a more than educated guess. You have to make have a vision with these big time players, your quarterback. And what I'm hearing out of there is everybody thinks he's the guy for the next 5 to 10 years. If you think that, then pay him now so you don't get into a weird situation later.
But if you pay him now, you're paying him as a top 5 quarterback, yeah?
I think you do have to slot it where the market is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then if that's the case, what do you have to lose by waiting another year? You think it's going to go up that much? Because he's not making Patrick Mahomes money. He'd probably make Joe Burrow money. He's going to make Lamar Jackson money. So you mean to tell me that if Trevor Lawrence comes out this season, let's hope that he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. You think the market's going to be disrupted that much by one stellar season? Because I don't think so. I don't think he's going to make Patrick Mahomes money after 1 year. So essentially, he's going to make the same amount of money this year or next year. What's the difference?
If Trevor Lawrence, by the way, goes up and puts 35-12, or the Jags go on up, win the South, and they win a playoff game or two, he's going to make the highest amount of money there is at 25 years old, doing that twice in his first 4 seasons.
But he's not making Patrick Mahomes money.
Well, Mahomes isn't even making.
Mahomes is the 7th ranked.
Well,
but
Mahomes,
I'm saying
that's the
his
totality
contract,
of the deal, the $500 million
contract.
deal.
Right.
I actually think the Jags could work into that, but he's probably going to fit more in line with the Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert type stuff.
I mean, that's 1 and 2.
But this is less to do with the money part and what it could do to hinder you from doing another move that you want to do. That's really the lesson learned here over these last couple of weeks, is the Josh Allen waiting around has hindered them to do another move that they potentially would want to do to make their football team better. What move are they going to cost themselves next year because they're waiting around? Maybe there isn't one.
Austin, this is where...
Hang on. Let me say one thing real quick. You can't compare it to the Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence thing, though, because how much money did Josh Allen make by getting 17.5 sacks this year? He made
Probably another 7 or 8 million a year.
No, so let's be honest here. Josh Allen probably went from realistically at the market at the time, if you would have paid him when you paid him, what? Maybe $17 million a year?
I was thinking like $18 million.
Okay, so $17 or $18 million. Josh Allen's going to make at least probably $25 million.
Yeah.
Right? So a $10 million bump, we'll call it?
Well, 7.
Or 7, 8, whatever the case may be. Okay. Do we really think that Trevor Lawrence can get an $8 million bump from a season this year?
Well, everybody, I don't think he's going to get, like, you're going to be able to get a deal. But let's just say, I mean, his comes in slightly below a Burrow or a Herbert because of some of the accolades that people say going to the Super Bowl, whatever else. And so those guys, I think, can be around like $55 million a year.
Burrow's 55, Herbert's 52.
Okay, so let's just say it's 52 right now. Well, definitely, Austin, by next year, $60 million's got to be in play. They keep raising the cap. I mean, it's definitely more next year if he comes off not even to the year Josh.
It's going to be more with the cap, yes, but I'm saying it's still going to be comparable to Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. He's not going to reset the market over Joe Burrow.
Yeah, but these guys, by the way, you would never say that Joe Burrow, the great Joe Burrow, who's gone to a Super Bowl, who's missed half of his career now, is going to get this much more money than Patrick Mahomes per year. Well, he does. He makes $10 million a year more than Patrick Mahomes.
But Mahomes, that was more of the player-friendly kind of thing with Patrick Mahomes.
Or even how about a Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts didn't do it for a long time. 1 year later, boom, he's making the same amount of money as those guys, right?
51.
Is he making like 51?
Yeah.
So,
well, you play in a Super Bowl, things can happen.
I guess. I mean, the Super Bowl seems to be the end-all, be-all in this conversation.
Correct.
To get there, not even win it.
Yeah.
But so just a little reference here by year. Bosa, but the Bosa's have a lot of money. Garrett, Sweat, Allen for the Jags is not in here yet. They got him on the tag at 24. Let me get Trey Hendrickson right now is at 21. Donnell Hunter is at 17. Shaq Barrett's a good one, maybe at 17. So Shaq Barrett coming off a big year a couple years ago, maybe he would have been. Josh would have been around 17, 18
but Jack
million.
He didn't have that big a year like Shaq Barrett had. Shaq Barrett had like what?
He didn't, but I just say the line had moved probably to put him in that kind of category.
I mean, probably 16 or 17.
Yeah,
I think is fair.
So,
and now he's going to make once again 25.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah, they would have. I mean, they could have saved a lot. That's the moral of the story. They could have not only saved a lot, but they also could have tagged Ridley. If they just had the vision to be like, this guy's our good football player, and we're going to have him around here for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know the move. I can't foresee the move right now that is going to be bothered by a potential Trevor deal after this year. But let me just say this. If there is one, again, this is their job to figure out what move could be potentially bothered. If there is one, then they're idiots for not doing a deal early because we just lived it.
Yep.
We just lived. Everybody just said you should have Josh Allen signed by now. And the reason you didn't, in part, is because, maybe you didn't offer one during the season, but you sure as hell didn't get it done before the season, which is when most deals do get done. Could have saved you money, could have kept you Ridley, could have made your football team better. And if you do the same thing with Trevor Lawrence, then you're just dumb.
Yep.
Because you think he's
with him.
Well, you think he's the guy.
I can tell.
No, I mean, because also, okay, so
the biggest hype man in sports radio history.
Well, I mean,
gotcha.
When it comes to Trevor, okay, this will tell you very clearly.
Hey, we got to gang up on him sometimes, man. He's a lot stronger than us.
I know. This will tell you very clearly where I'm at with him in his future.
Hit me with it.
Herbert just got 5 years, 262, so that's 52 a year. Okay, that's the second biggest contract for a quarterback.
Okay.
If today, this afternoon, the Jaguars gave Trevor Lawrence the exact same contract, I would be happy with that. I'm cool. If he's tied as the second highest paid annually, average per year quarterback, I am not complaining if they give him 5 for 260.
So you think that Trevor Lawrence has earned the Justin Herbert paycheck?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You really don't?
Right now? No, I don't.
How far below it?
I think Justin Herbert threw 85 touchdowns and 38 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. I don't think Trevor's done that yet.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't. It's the numbers, the Super Bowls, They probably won't add up to where you need them to be to get into that
Super Bowl.
category.
I mean, Justin Herbert hasn't gone to
I
Super
know,
Bowl
but I'm
either.
talking Burrow and Burrow's situation, right?
Okay.
And Burrow has 2 years of numbers. He also has 2 years of getting hurt. Like, that's a concern now, too. But the second year, the deal was already done before he got hurt the second time around. So, I mean, listen, Hamby, I know we're on the same page on this one. I've learned. Like, I agree with you. I said this coming right off the season. I would sign him right now. I know he's the guy. And by the way, the last time I said this about Josh Allen, I was right. So maybe they should start listening to me.
Were you for Blake Bortles or against Blake Bortles to pay him?
Roll the tape.
If he's got to think about it.
I don't know. I really don't remember. I was a Blake Bortles supporter on a lot of levels, so I probably said, yeah, pay him.
Okay.
I probably did. But my big beef here, again, this goes back to vision. This isn't about me. This is about them being in their jobs and doing what they're supposed to do. And I will say this. This was a Tom Coughlin mistake for Bortles. Tom was supposed to be the guy with the vision to say, yeah, you know what? Here he comes. Here's the development. This is where he's going. We can see it. I've watched a lot of football. Or he was supposed to say, guys, this is the mountaintop. This is a really hard call. I get all the emotion of it. We can do better. He's not going to be better than this. We don't need to ride for 2 more years with this. That's what he needed to do. The same reason I say Bulky needed to say last year, Josh Allen's good enough to be this kind of player. Let's lock him in right now. Their job is to see that. And when they screw it up, we get what we've had the last 48 hours here in Jacksonville. Let's take a break.
Oh,
I need one.
Well, I was going to do a rebuttal and everything. All right.
We'll be back. Brent and Austen Show. We might need you to get a little extra noontime news here today, Hamby.
Or Austin to just go on a little wrestling to blow off a little bit more steam.
Oh, no, man. Trust me. That's coming up pretty soon here. Little AEW chit-chat.
Come on.
What's up, Tony?
I like it. They have a big week. I thought I saw a lot of good stuff coming out of there.
Sting's last match, that was huge.
Was it? Big one.
Big one.
I thought I saw a lot of people actually on Twitter at one time. I was like, is that normal or is there something big going on?
Oh, I mean, it was like a pay-per-view.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll be back. I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 1.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained. and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Thank you for making Action News Jax the best in Jax and Folio's Best of Jax 2023. Best TV station, best TV newscast, best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, best news website and best local blog, the Burrish blog. Thank you for making Action News Jax local coverage you can count on.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
I'm Action News Jax First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beaton. Well, the sun is up and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jax This Morning team, helping you start your morning right.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
We might hit a little Pac-Man in here. Brent and Austin Show, Brent Martineau Austen Lane, Jason Hamby on a Wednesday. It's been a busy week here in Jacksonville. Hopefully you're, in a decent mood coming off yesterday. And the big week happens next week. We have the new league year, legal tampering. People will really be bent out of shape about losing Calvin Ridley. By the way, time it happens next week. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. The Players' Championship and much more. We're having fun. Tomorrow, by the way, on the show.
What you got?
Going Gator Nationaling.
I've been there.
Good stuff.
It's really fun.
It is fun.
Yeah, I mean, I got to stand right next to, so I knew someone that had an in with Ron Capps, who drives the Napa car.
Who might be in studio tomorrow.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Ron Capps?
Yes.
Honestly?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, man. We follow each other on Twitter and everything. Yeah. Awesome.
There he goes.
That's all you had to say. Did you email us that?
I did, yeah.
Okay, I didn't. Okay.
Well, I might not have put his name on it.
Okay, I was going to say, I didn't feel like I didn't see his name. But yeah, I met Ron. That's wild that we're having this conversation. So yeah, I met him probably 8 or 9 years ago. He's a big MMA guy, big UFC fan. Is he still driving the Napa car? I guess we'll find out.
Don't put me on the spot.
Okay, sorry.
I haven't done my homework yet.
But yeah.
But yeah, I think he is.
Gave me a really cool experience. Like I got to tour the pit and everything with him. So it was, really cool. I'm excited to see him again.
And then also tomorrow, we got Monster Jam
Let's
in
go.
studio.
Back to back. Blue collar, baby.
So yeah, we're going to have some fun tomorrow. And just a good week here on the Brent and Austin Show. Our Action Sports Jax 24/7 network has taken off, and you can find us on actionnewsjax.com. You can find us on the Action News Jax app. Really kind of a fun thing we've been doing. We've just been replaying the show and really testing out this network and stream and everything else, and so far so good. We'll be adding more content to it in the coming weeks and months especially. But if you do miss any of the show, you can seriously watch it right there on the app anytime. It is replaying any time of night. And we've had a lot of good conversation today, some heated stuff here today as we get intense on the conversation. Hey, Trevor Lawrence, we were talking about him. We're not going to keep talking about him.
Oh, let's go.
What an offseason this dude's having. He was, I think, in South Africa or going on a safari or something like that, I think was his plan. I don't know exactly what his plans were in South Africa. Then somebody said they saw him in Cabo.
Yeah.
Like last week.
Little vacay.
And now a little golf down there at Bay Hill as the Arnold Palmer Invitational.
Trevor Tracker. Yeah.
The Trevor Tracker is all over the place here, living a good life.
Austin, you know who that guy is on the right?
Which one?
Furthest on the right.
Yeah, that's the guy I almost got in a fight with at the Super Bowl media party. Oh, not the media party, but the media thing.
Baron Corbin.
Story.
It's Baron Corbin. He's hanging out with Baron Corbin?
That's pretty impressive that you knew that from that picture.
Yeah, I could tell. He's hanging out with Baron Corbin?
Yeah.
Is that that?
That's why Austin doesn't want to get paid.
Now you're really not getting paid.
Well, I don't think he had a choice. I think this is a pro-am
it's a
where
pro-am.
they put people together.
Okay. Check to see if he follows him on Instagram.
So the Baron Corbin thing was not be a good match made in heaven here is what? I don't know the story there.
No, I've shared the story. I just didn't say who the story was with. But I remember when I was at the Super Bowl and the Kansas City Chiefs were there, Brent, and I was interviewing Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. And there was a dude that said, I was like staying in front of him. He goes, "Excuse me, man." I'm like,
yeah.
I'm right here. He goes, "Well, I actually played for this team." I go, "Oh, how long?" And he's like, "Well, I was in practice. Like, I was like training camp." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I didn't move because I'm not going to move. Like, no.
Because he did play in the NFL a little bit, as you just mentioned.
He had a cup of coffee. Okay. I had some bagels, some scrambled eggs, 2 cups of coffee, a smoothie, a cinnamon bun. and then a lot of chewing up by Joe Cohen. But yeah, I had a lot.
That's also Vince Carter and Colin Morikawa.
Damn, it's sad I didn't recognize Vince Carter. I recognized Baron Corbin.
Vince Carter, by the way, the one interview maybe you missed in your absence of the show the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Remember we had Greg Coleman in yesterday. He was inducted into the Florida Sports Hall of Fame this past year.
Yeah.
Well, so was Vince Carter. And so we did our show live over there on the radio side.
Yeah.
And we had Vince Carter on. Man, what a
cool
nice
guy.
human being.
How tall is he?
How tall is Vince?
Well, I'm saying because obviously the
Trevor 6'6".
The framing looks.
Is Vince 6'7"?
Okay.
Probably 6'7", right?
Okay.
Oh man, what a guy! They told
Vince Carter is 6'6".
He's 6'6", same as Trevor.
Same as Trevor.
They say people would say like he's a really nice guy, like really, really nice. Man, they were right. He was awesome. Yeah. It was a great visit. And what a talented dude he was. He's got kind of a resume like yours now.
Yeah. No, Cammy, can you bring the picture one more time, please? Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, what is he doing now?
I think he was doing some announcing,
okay.
If I remember. I think that's how he was kind of staying in it.
Okay.
But I also believe he's maybe coaching his kids. A lot of family time and stuff now that he's retired. He played forever.
I mean,
in the
dude
NBA,
played for, that was an insane career. I can't remember who, did he play with the Hawks? Did he end with?
Is that what he ended with?
Whatever.
I remember him.
Super impressive.
I should know this. I just did the interview a few months ago, but I believe I think he too was a big saxophone player.
Oh, there's an in. Okay.
And he also was really good at volleyball. Also,
well,
I know.
You don't. The guy can jump.
But he played volleyball.
Yeah, I believe
and
that.
And I think he might have mentioned that was the sport he was most interested in at one time.
And then who's this guy in the middle? And then
That's Morikawa.
Colin Morikawa. He's a golfer, right?
Yeah, like top 5 in
Looking
the world.
Look like Mike DeRocco in a land full of Brian Nielsen's, ain't he? Ain't he?
We're back.
Just happy to be there.
After a few tense moments, we're back.
Oh, dude, don't say they're okay, you gotta understand this, and Hamby probably has no idea. Hamby's probably scared in the drive-through kids corner right now.
Yeah, because you're in a room that has a drive-through window.
You have to understand. After I leave here, I'm going to punch people in the face and get punched in the face, and then later on tonight, I'm going to choke people and get choked out. So, in terms of stress, or in terms of hey, I could care. I'm having fun. I'm beating myself, but I don't put a lot of stake and a lot of emotion and intrigue into what we're doing right here. Okay, we're talking about sports. It's gonna be okay, everybody.
It is gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about sports.
I'm
just going to go watch a baseball game tonight. None of that. Hopefully nobody gets choked out.
Hey, you never know.
You never know.
I play well.
Yeah. Jeez. Like talking about an ump or something, but okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, that too.
Yep.
the the quarterback stuff we were getting into yesterday before we got a little sidetracked by all the breaking news. Hamby did this, and I think there were like 9 spots that you could potentially see quarterback in the NFL changing hands, if that makes some sense.
There are 9 teams that are looking for a new quarterback.
Yeah, and so I think the easiest way to start is like the top 2 teams in the draft, right? Like Chicago. It seems like now Caleb Williams. Is everybody on board with all the reports?
Yep.
I would take Caleb Williams.
You know, it's funny. Like, we had Scott Schroeder in, and there's a simplicity to this sometimes. You can overthink it. I am a Justin Fields fan. Like, I think Justin Fields better than people think. I think Justin Fields can really help people and play in this league for a long time. But I also think what Scott said was kind of interesting. You can get him a lot cheaper, maybe a better player with Caleb Williams. You reset that a little bit. Again, I was a little blinded maybe by the fact that they kept Eberflus. I think that part's stupid if you're going to go pick a new quarterback. But the move to go to Williams actually does make sense on a lot of levels because everybody's trying to catch these guys without the big contracts.
Correct.
So if you can now reset for another 3 years on a rookie deal, that really puts you in an advantageous situation.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, a lot of teams have had this success going to a Super Bowl, having a Super Bowl run because of that rookie quarterback contract. Now, Patrick Mahomes is always going to be the outlier just because he's Patrick Mahomes. But, yeah, generally, when you have a quarterback on a rookie contract, you shift that money more towards vets of, skill positions or defense, whatever the case may be. Generally, you have more success.
All right, so we like number 1 there. How about, is it Drake May at number 2, or are we going to think outside the box and go with Jadon Daniels? What do we?
Just go with May. I think that.
You think May?
Yeah. The 3 is the hard one.
Who, by the way, did well. He did well at the combine too, so he didn't lose anything there.
Yeah.
From all accounts, from all the reports.
Yep.
All right, so those guys obviously getting young players. Yeah, the Patriots are pretty interesting here.
What happens with them?
Yeah, like how? Here's what I don't get, guys. If you're a new coach, and you need to reset the position, and you're picking in the top 3, and there's a guy available. Now, I don't mean you have to go jump and get a guy that you think is actually like the 24th pick in the draft. That's where it's your evaluation is important. But I don't understand if Daniels is any bit as good as a lot of the world thinks he is, and some even have him above May, and some, if you really go outside the box, will be like, I think he was more impressive than Caleb Williams. Now, I don't know if a lot of people will come there, but the point being is, how do you pass up this opportunity if you're the Patriots to pick your next franchise quarterback? Don't they have to do it?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about the Patriots, I have them taking Jane Daniels. Like, part of the exercise, yes, I have Daniels going to the Patriots.
All right, Hamby, lead us down the next path then. That's 3 out of, I think, the 9 spots.
That's 3 out of the 9. And then we got to get to the Giants next, who pick at 6, and whether they were like the of the 9 teams, they are the one that is most likely to stick with their current quarterback because, as we've mentioned, Daniel Jones, they have a huge contract with him. So of the 9, the 8 are a lot more likely to make a change, either draft, free agency, trade, whatever the case may be. But 9 Giants, who pick at 6, they're a team that could also do something and make a change right now. And whether that's stick with Daniel Jones and draft a quarterback at 6, be it Jaden Daniels if the Patriots don't take him at 3, I, for the sake of the drill, have them drafting J.J. McCarthy at 6 and keeping Daniel Jones for 1 more year. Then they have the option with Daniel Jones after next year, and J.J. McCarthy will be the guy going forward. Now, I, for one, am not a J.J. McCarthy fan. I think he's incredibly overhyped. You have the game against Penn State in the second half. How many times did Michigan throw the football? 0 times. 0 times. They ran the football every single play for a half of football. If you have a top 10 quarterback, you don't trust him, doesn't make any sense. J.J. McCarthy won games, but won national championship, tip your hat, not a first-round quarterback.
What are the Giants doing?
They're keeping Daniel Jones, and they're going to bolster up their skill position because they have to. You lose Saquon Barkley. You invested all this money in Daniel Jones. If you were to cut Daniel Jones this year, that's $68 million in dead cap. Not saying Hamby's saying that they're going to start him this year. I just think that you're Tupac committed, whether it's right or wrong, it's what you did. You're Tupac committed to Daniel Jones. You got to try to build around him at least for a year and see what you got.
Here's what I think, guys. This actually is the best if you can get cheap. I still question whether Russell Wilson will sign for like something super small, considering he's getting money. But isn't Russell Wilson a great fit here, even to duke it out a little bit with Jones? And here's why I say it. Let's just say, I'll even give him $5 million. Let's just say Russell Wilson's coming on board for $5 million. He could come as little as $1 million, I think, with like the veteran minimum or something. But if you take the quarterback position and now say, hey, we got 40 in Daniel and we got 5 in Russell, and whoever wins, who cares? We're spending $45 million on the spot. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, to me, it makes a lot of sense because you're right. You're not sold. You don't want to just cut and get the dead money. It looks bad. You have to admit mistake. But if the Band-Aid is potentially a Russell Wilson for a Brian Daboll, who actually is very good offensively too and helped make Josh Allen good, Sean Payton helped make Russell Wilson as good as he can be at this stage of his career, it seems like. I feel like that could be a nice fit for the Giants to at least have an insurance policy that's pretty cheap.
No, I get that, but I think from Russell Wilson's standpoint, I think there's better options for him. Like, for instance, I mean, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, but I have Russell Wilson going to the Vikings, and then the Vikings drafting somebody in the first round, most likely Bo Nix, who is kind of I don't want to compare him in terms of same player, but there's some similarities between Bo Nix and Russell Wilson. So I think they go after Russell Wilson to Minnesota, sign him for a cheap deal. Bo Nix learns behind Russell Wilson, and they go from there.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory. Let's stay on Minnesota then, Hamby. What do you got?
Okay, so despite all of the reports that Kirk Cousins is going to Atlanta, I have the Vikings re-signing him, and Kirk stays there.
I actually kind of like that, too. I like the 2-year, $90 million deal. They have to do something with Justin Jefferson, right? I mean, he's stayed. There's no way. I know there's been some reports of trading. How could you trade him? You draft a guy like that at 22. Don't you have to keep him? He's your star of your franchise. O'Connell's an offensive guy. He wants that. For your next quarterback, let's just say it's your scenario of potentially a Bo Nix. Yep. Let's just say it's yours with Cousins, and they've got the rapport already. And they do like Cousins up there, right?
Yep.
Jefferson likes Cousins. Jefferson's waiting to see if they keep Cousins. Mm-hmm. Jefferson might not only get his own money, he might get Cousins paid too.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that too, man. And the reason I like it is probably similar to the way where I think you're going potentially with a guy like Justin Fields. So I guess I'll lead us down that path. I think Fields ends up in Atlanta.
I agree. Yeah, Fields goes to Atlanta, and I think they instantly become the team to beat in the NFC South.
So I want to see Fields up in Atlanta, but for some reason I have Fields going to Pittsburgh, and then I have Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta. Because I think Atlanta's so young, and they have a lot of weapons, but they need like an experienced vet to try to get to the next level.
Makes sense.
Like Justin Fields, don't get me wrong, is more boom and bust. You know what you get with Kirk Cousins? Get the more stable guy right now, put him in Atlanta. So I actually have Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta.
The interesting part of the Atlanta deal with Fields is they had a chance to go get Fields earlier and move on from Matt Ryan, right, in that draft. They hung on with Matt Ryan, and I know there were a lot of money tied in, but it was a similar situation where they could have drafted Fields at that spot. Is that when they drafted Pitts?
Yes.
That would have been then, right? Yeah, so they draft Pitts instead. Yeah, Trevor draft 2021, yep. So they made a mistake. But how unusual is it that they could actually Band-Aid it back up by still getting their guy because somebody else who's not fully lost on their guy thinks they have a better option. I mean, it might be one of the great pulls of all time. And if they couple this with signing Ridley back, they'll actually do it to two different teams.
No, I mean, that'd be insane. Like, listen, here's the thing about that, though. We don't know what Justin Fields is.
I get it, but he's going to be in the best situation by far of his career.
But we also know when Kirk Cousins has some decent weapons, he can be a very good quarterback.
A problem with Cousins. Do you have a problem with Cousins' inability to move at this stage? I have a problem with quarterbacks now that they get stuck. In this day and age, man, the way fronts are, the way we talk about fronts, I get Cousins can do it a little bit with his mind. He's a veteran. He can get in the right play, quick release, all that stuff. And Atlanta would be a good fit for that, most likely, because you got a lot of weapons to dump to.
Yeah.
So I get it. I'm not telling you that he can't play. I still like Kirk, but I do start to wonder about these guys that can't move. I just don't think he can play the game at that position anymore.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely passing him by, but when you have Bijan Robinson, you have Kyle Pitts, you have Drake London, like you have guys at every level, I like my chances to staying healthy if I'm Kirk Cousins.
All right, so we've ticked off Chicago, Washington, We got to Minnesota, Atlanta, and the Giants.
Hit me with it.
We got to get to. So, Austin, you said Steelers are taking Fields.
Yeah.
I have Fields going to the Steelers.
Okay. I'm going to say they're going to trade back into later into the first round towards the end and take Penix, and he will compete right away with Kenny Pickett Jr. because of the belief of I think the Steelers are one of those teams that are less likely to make the big move, and they are a team, or they seem at least recently to be a team that in a franchise that's more loyal to their players and kind of give them a longer leash. So that's why I think they're not saying, hey, Kenny Pickett is our guy by any means. They're going to draft Penix to compete right away, but they're not going to replace Pickett and say, all right, Pickett, you're out.
No, you're not wrong there, man. The one giant MO of the Pittsburgh Steelers, there's been a couple of them, but the biggest one is that they never really spend a lot in free agency unless it's with their guys that they want to bring back. You know, they're always kind of loyal to the guys that they sign, or the guys that they draft. So I could theoretically see that happening.
Yeah, they're an interesting organization in that sense, and I kind of commend them for it, and I think they've been applauded for that for a while, and I think they also have been tried to be mimicked, even here in Jacksonville, for some of the loyalty, and you see that they have 3 coaches over this long stretch of time. I also think it's hampered them. Like, that's a vision that's also hampered them. You have to be true to yourself, but do you have to also change over time sometimes? And I think right now they're in one of those ruts because of who they are, and they haven't been to a Super Bowl since what, like 2009? Even though Tomlin wins some every year. So they might need to go outside their box. They might need to go bold. I actually think Penix is a little bit bold. He might be a great steal, but playing from the left side, that changes things a little bit about what you want to do. How comfortable are they with that? Without being fully committed to the left-handed quarterback, can it play out the way you said it, Hamby? So I kind of think Penix might go to a guy that he can start from, a team that can start from scratch with him and kind of let him develop under their system. They kind of feel that out. I don't know how much NFL teams will be stuck on that left-handed stuff, but I do think it's a little bit of a thing. And you talk about a traditional organization in Pittsburgh. I just wonder about the left-handed quarterback, although Leftwich played there, right? As a backup for a long time. So maybe it doesn't matter, But wait, Leftwich. Yeah, Leftwich. No, Leftwich, a right-handed quarterback. What am I thinking?
Yeah, I can't come with you, man. I can look it up quick.
Where are you going?
But either way, I would say I like your scenario. I just think it's going to be McCarthy or Knicks.
Okay. So the 2 teams that we have left are the Broncos and the Raiders.
Leftwich's name has lefty in it. That's what got me.
Real quick, Broncos, I'll have also trading back and taking Knicks. And I guess competing with Jarrett Stidham, which you think back to their college days, those guys are kind of similar. But the Broncos are the weirdest one, I think, because nobody knows what's going on there. Like, even if an hour ago we talked about the rumors that they might cut Cortland Sutton and trade Jerry Jeudy. Like, nobody knows what's going on, so it's really hard to tell what direction they're going to go. Are they going to bring in the Kirk Cousins type, who's older and kind of can lead the way for Jarrett Stidham because they still believe in him? Or are they going to bring in somebody to compete on his level? Or are they going to draft his replacement? Like, we don't know. But I guess I would just kind of go with a Bo Nix fit there.
I kind of like that Bo Nix fit, too. Stays on the West Coast.
Yeah, to me, it's going to be either Bo Nix or like JJ McCarthy if he fall. You know, I mean, one of those guys. I think, despite what Sean Payton tells everybody in terms of, Russell Wilson, I just didn't think there was going to be a good matchup with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, right? They had a falling out, whatever. Sean Payton gets the house and the divorce. He's still in Denver. Russell Wilson's gone. I think Sean Payton wants to start new, build up from the ground up, and that means a new quarterback. So, yeah, Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy, whatever the case may be, but I see a rookie quarterback being there in Denver, and then Sean Payton, trying to get the best out of him.
Yeah, I agree. I think McCarthy probably ends up landing there. I think he seems higher on other people's boards. So at number 12, I don't see him as a top 10 pick, where I know some people have him, but it makes sense that they would just start over. They're ripping it down. Now the danger in that is they're ripping it down. Are they going to play that guy right away? You're ripping it down and taking everything away. Like, look what Carolina did with Bryce Young. Carolina, in hindsight, what they should have done is not play him, right? They should have sat him. You damage have potential to damage these guys early when you don't have stuff around them. And so we'll see how smart the Broncos are. If they really are ripping things down, if they're going to sell a little bit and they're going to restructure that whole organization, and what they'll try to do is say, okay, we'll rip it down, try to build it up in 2 years. So it's the fastest process to get to 2 years. Well, taking your quarterback, but playing him in year one might not be the benefit of the Denver Broncos. I think the Raiders become a very interesting Who are they left with?
The Raiders are the fun one for me.
Yeah, I'm just saying I think it's going to be Penix or something like that. That's what I had.
So,
I had Penix going to Raiders.
Of course, they have O'Connell. So the Raiders are the team that I think will go get Russell Wilson. And then will be in the second round, maybe early third, or taking Spencer Rattler, because I think Rattler's of the draft picks right now. I think Nix and Rattler are the two guys who are most comparable to Russell Wilson. So because of that, if the Raiders were to take Spencer Rattler, and they don't have to invest a ton because Spencer Rattler is not a top 50 pick. You can take him early third or late second. You can sit him behind Russell Wilson, who you play right away. Russell Wilson becomes your week one starter. And, obviously you're in a tough division, but you automatically get better and upgrade there. And Spencer Rattler learns for a year. You can sign Russell even to a 2-year deal if you wanted to, and let Spencer take another year, and then Spencer's your guy in year 3.
Yeah, that might be a long way. That's interesting. I think Las Vegas is in a tricky spot. Again, they could end up with Russell Wilson. I doubt it. I don't see it. I also think they're probably going to have to draft a young guy. I don't know who they're going to end up with. I really don't. I don't think there's – who I floated over here is Minshew. Minshew might be able to be their best. He actually kind of fits the Raiders a bit too, doesn't he?
But
it might be kind of a fun fit. But just as more of this – again, this is Minshew's career. He's going to be the stopgap guy. He's a free agent again in Indianapolis. And so will they bring him back? Does he get a chance to start in Vegas? You're looking for guys that get a chance to start? Well, that might be a great landing spot for a player like Gardner Minshew after what he just did this past year. The Vegas could be like, listen, we got some players. What if we give this guy a whirl? He made the play or almost made the playoffs with Indianapolis. We feel like we could be every bit as good as those guys. So I think Minshew might make some sense there. Other than that, I don't have a lot of great options other than young quarterback. I mean, pick whoever you want as a young player. Maybe it's second round. I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. And I just don't. One thing I would say to you, Hamby, on this, I don't think you have to mimic. If you bring in Russell Wilson even for a year or two, you don't need to mimic him.
I know, but it's just I think it would be more beneficial for the guy to have a similar play style to him.
No, I mean, to tailor an offense around it. If an injury happens or if he starts playing bad, you can kind of just say, hey, we're running the same stuff with you as well. So
I guess maybe the question here is that is kind of the make or break is which team would be more likely to stick with their current guy, the Steelers with Pickett or the Raiders with O'Connell? That's kind of like.
I think from reports, it seems like Pickett is like a definite chance to stay in Pittsburgh. So I would probably lean toward them.
Yep.
Because I don't think Minshew is that different than O'Connell, unfortunately.
He might not be.
So it's like
more seasoned.
100% more seasoned, and you know what you're gonna get in O'Connell, but he's kind of like that check down, like not gonna, whatever. They're not definitely buying into O'Connell's future, but are they kind of just gonna let him go as a buy your time one more year before they really make a move next year, maybe?
The other thing here, guys, is will anybody give the chance? Because there are reports out of Minnesota that Trey Lance could be interesting. So that 21 draft class, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Will any of these teams that might need the Band-Aid or could bring in somebody else? Maybe they don't like the fact that it's Spencer Rattler, but you bring in somebody else on a resurrection project like a Trey Lance or even a Mac Jones instead of going with like the 12th best quarterback in the draft this year or the 8th best quarterback in the draft this year. I think that's an interesting look for teams like the Raiders and maybe some others.
You can definitely see Trey Lance being the Band-Aid and them taking a little bit of a risk and seeing what he really has, because we saw the same thing with Josh Rosen. Now, it didn't work with Josh Rosen, but keep in mind, Josh Rosen got plenty of chances to start and prove himself. We haven't really seen that from Trey Lance, right? Because he's had a laundry list of injuries, and then all of a sudden Brock Purdy comes in and Trey Lance is gone. And then he goes to Dallas, and it's kind of a forgotten thing because, well, you're playing behind Dak Prescott. So I'm not really sure what Trey Lance has to offer we really don't, but we know he was taken pretty dang high, so you had to like him out of college. So I think a team would go, okay, well, why was he drafted so high? There was a lot of talent that we thought he had. Let's see if we can at least get some of that out of him and let him be a Band-Aid, and we can find like another situation someplace else.
I think the part of that, my guess is the Minnesota tie-in is O'Connell and maybe the Rams liked Trey Lance when they were there in the draft process. So that's why there's some link there, is my guess. That's what usually happens. Like, we like this guy. We think we can do some things with this guy. Pair Trey Lance with a guy like Justin Jefferson. You're going to put him in a good situation, potentially. That is my guess. But actually, Trey Lance seems to fit like the Raiders to me. Like, hey, we'll try to resurrect this guy.
Yeah.
Like, right? We'll try to take that chance, that bold chance. It's a bold organization, way more so than I don't think anybody's going to give Zach Wilson the try, guys. I think there's too much damage there. He might be a backup. I do think Mac Jones has potential, depending on how some of the rumors and thoughts are checked out coming out of New England, where it got a little muddy there, it seems like. Mm-hmm. But Mac is really the most proven guy if you put something around him. Like, even in a Minnesota situation, if you put some stuff around him in a good spot, because really the Patriots, maybe Mac did it dirty, but the Patriots seem to have done him dirty too the last couple of years, right? I mean, it was just not a good spot.
Yeah.
Brent, Trey Lance or Russell Wilson?
I would go Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah. I got to know the known stuff.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of Lance, though. I don't think he's.
I mean, am I wrong? Like, he hasn't played a lot of games, right? So we don't know what he is.
Nobody knows, really.
But they did make the determination that Purdy was a way better option, once healthy, even with a guy like Trey Lance, and they determined that.
Yeah,
and they were pot committed to Lance now with what they gave up to get him. That's pretty bold from an organization, and tells me a lot that, okay, this kid ain't it, and that's some good offensive staff.
No, I mean, it's a great offensive staff to kind of admit a mistake, even though a highly invested one. And see, people don't talk about that because look what Brock Purdy is. Like, he was an MVP candidate for a while. So, like, yeah, you got rid of Trey Lance, you sacrificed to get him, but hey, you still replaced him with a hell of a quarterback in itself. Yeah, it just makes you wonder, though. I mean, what does Brock Purdy look like on the Jaguars? What does Brock Purdy look like, on a 9-and-whatever team? Like, we don't know. Like, Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy because he got Christian McCaffrey and a lot of great. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's still a great player in his own right, but it makes me wonder. Okay, you got rid of Trey Lance, he was gone. Is he still a heck of a player, though? We just don't know. Because, I mean, you probably did himself zero. You would rather have got rid of Trey Lance, have him be a backup in San Francisco, right? Because what kind of precedent are you setting where we spent all this on you and now you're a backup quarterback to Mr. Irrelevant?
Yeah.
So I don't blame him getting rid of Trey Lance, but I just think they got rid of Trey Lance thinking maybe he still has something to offer.
But I would say this then, there's two things here for me. If Lance is showing any signs, or if you can kind of see some stuff, well, Dallas, are they going to try to keep him in that spot because when the Dak stuff runs out or whatever else, maybe they're not in that situation, but could they keep him? Why would they let him go? That's one thing I would ask. The other thing is, now Lance, if he does have any kind of upside, he's been around some good offensive minds. Mm-hmm. Shanahan and now McCarthy, and I know people will say whatever about McCarthy, but McCarthy's a good offensive mind. That's one of the top offenses in the National Football League. He's been behind Dak. I mean, these are good situations for a young player to be in and learn and maybe sometime reach his potential. And if they give him that opportunity, maybe he does. People mature and grow at different stages. I don't think we like to admit that, but some people do, especially a guy coming out of North Dakota State.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's part of it. Hamby, you got some noontime news for us or what?
Yeah. Let's see what we got.
I just want to hear the music. Put you on the spot. All right. Not good?
I don't know if I'm feeling this. Hold on here.
I feel like I'm in John Wick and I'm going to like an underground club right now or something. Oh,
here we go.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys hit it together.
DJ
That was very nice.
All right.
DJ Hamby.
The first thing I want to show you guys is I'm going to pull it up. The Oakland A's have renderings of their Vegas stadium.
Good.
And look at this. We got glass. That is glass. That is not outdoors, so it obviously has the appeal of glass, but this is indoor stadium. Glass ceiling.
Smart.
With like a armadillo type, whatever those things are called.
Yeah. Is it retractable? It's got to be retractable, right? It's Vegas. It doesn't rain. Okay.
Is it that structure? That doesn't look retractable to me.
Let me look.
Here's what this has a little bit, and I like this. If that is glass, so you're saying that's glass on the other side?
Yes.
Well, that's very much like the Marlins. You've been down the Marlins Park in Miami?
I haven't seen the Marlins one. I mean, I've been past it.
Yeah, no, but inside, like, it's really cool because they used to be able to open it up. I don't think they can anymore.
We did because we were there for the media thing. I didn't see it. Yeah,
but that in left field, it's so clear that it's hard to tell.
Yeah,
but you can see the skyline and other things behind. Love what they did here. It seems like very much like Miami Marlins Park, whatever it's called now.
Lone Depot.
But I love that. I love what Miami did with it. So much better than like what Tampa, and Tampa obviously a totally different field, but it feels like you can see the and you're still indoors.
Cool. Yeah, there's something about being. I mean, I guess Vegas gets pretty hot, doesn't it? But like, I like being outdoors, having that breeze to flow a little bit, especially in Vegas where it doesn't rain a lot.
You like it, Hamby, as a baseball guy?
Yeah, I'm with it. And by the way, my 14-year-old team this Saturday is playing in Lone Depot Park, is getting the full MLB treatment with a one-game showcase down there.
How about that?
Turn those hats around.
They better not.
What's the name of your team?
The SEAL team.
The SEAL team?
Yeah, all Jacksonville guys.
All right.
The Jacksonville SEALs?
We got some studs?
Yeah, I mean, we're competing at a high
Hamby, the
level.
SEALs?
SEAL team, baby.
What do you mean SEAL team? Like, is that?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like Navy SEALs.
Okay, so that's where it's born from.
Yeah,
that's where that name is born from.
Are they sponsoring?
Who are you guys with? Are you not with? Are you with like
we
CBU or anybody?
Well, we weren't. We were homegrown for the last 4 years, but a couple months ago, we were. I don't know how to put it,
acquired
by Sports Academy.
Really?
Who was with Mamba Sports with Kobe Bryant, and I think there's some funding from Jerry.
I did not know that when it entered the building here in Jacksonville.
Yep, we were the first in Jacksonville, and so yeah.
Sounds like a good no gate fees conversation coming up in a couple weeks.
Teal team something. Brent, that's what we need for our defense of our defense. Teal team something.
Not sack monsters.
Stop.
Sack monsters.
That's done. Teal. I'm gonna come back to that.
Okay, go to work.
Yep.
We'll have a full report from how the guys do in Miami
move.
this weekend. Hey, the Denver Nuggets and the Boston Celtics are going to play a pair of preseason games in Abu Dhabi this October.
I've been waiting for that.
Which will be an interesting move because I'm not sure exactly what kind of fan base they got over there. I would have assumed that they would have gone and played preseason games in more of the European places first, just because basketball is absolutely ginormous over there. But it's kind
Money
of
talks, baby.
Right. It's the latest league, that's expanding to other.
It's got to be
countries
inside,
overseas.
right? There's no way they're playing outside in the desert.
Yeah.
Because that would be kind of cool too, but I can't imagine it happening.
Right. Zion Williamson says he'll enter an NBA dunk contest, but only if he's an all-star.
Well, damn.
So also
we talked,
get him? We talked a ton about this after the All-Star break last time, that you wanted to see Zion and why isn't he competing and all this stuff, and he says he'll compete again, but he's got to be an all-star.
I mean, okay. I think he can be an all-star. I mean, when he's healthy, he's good. It's just, can you stay healthy the entire season? I like he's putting it out there now. If he becomes an all-star and then he backs out, we have receipts now. Just saying.
It's true.
He would really help the dunk contest, wouldn't he?
I mean, him and Ja, both.
Yeah, good stuff.
Especially like the size differential and just like what it looks like.
Why don't you behind the scenes if the league would just be like, hey, here you go.
That's what I said.
Right?
Well, don't even just make it public. Like, here's an extra $2 million.
Yeah. But on
it makes zero sense.
Paying you for your services.
Yeah,
really,
same
right?
thing with like what I want to do at the NFL Pro Bowl. Like have them do the bench press, pay a couple $100 or a couple $1 million.
I was gonna say, a couple $100 probably won't help.
100, yeah, my bad. Couple thousand, 100,000.
So there you go. And then we got one more. We got the Florida Gators basketball team is absolutely putting on a show. They beat Alabama last night at home, 105-87, shooting absolutely lights out. To score 105 in regulation is kind of ridiculous in college basketball, and they seem to be able to do that pretty consistently, at least in the 90s. I believe they had 5 players with at least 19 points or more. So the Florida Gators basketball team, as much as I hate to say it, is looking really dangerous at just the right time to come into the SEC tournament.
I tell you what, Golden is doing a heck of a job. I mean, first of all, he's able to find the mix. Finding the mix in today's world in college athletics is a tricky one. He's able to find it. Obviously, it's not that hard to do at Florida, but it's not like you're at Kentucky or other places. He's been able to do it in quick order, and he's developing these guys. These guys are way better than they were a month and a half ago. That, to me, if I was a Gator fan, would be why I'm the most excited. I mean, they are scoring a ton of points. That's just incredible what they're able to do. Again, guys, we've been saying this. March is going to be so much fun.
Yep.
And I thought the road was the difference. And really, UNF should have won on the road yesterday. Jacksonville University did win on the road yesterday. North Alabama won on the road yesterday in A-Sun. And it didn't seem like anybody was doing that during the regular season. So, I mean, just throw everything out the window that you think. I think we've got a lot of parity, and it should be a lot of fun.
Is it just me, or is like no one playing defense anymore?
Well, no.
Besides Virginia.
No, I mean, well, I'll tell you, UNF didn't play defense last night. But the actual style of play in college basketball, I think, is better because you have so much scoring. Like the A-Sun style has been really fun to watch this year for the most part, but it does echo back to that. Defense. And even Florida, as gifted as they are on offense, it can be a little bit of an eyesore on the defensive side of things.
The poor Virginia Cavaliers putting all their stake into defense, and nobody cares anymore. Have fun scoring 60 points a game when Duke's scoring 100 on you.
Yeah, it's wild to see what's going on in college hoops. All right, Hamby.
That's all from me.
Noontime news to finish off a show at almost 1 o'clock. We like it. Fun show today. Again, you can check it out on actionnewsjacks.com. You can check out the Action News Jacks app. It'll play really the rest of the day until we do it again tomorrow. We have a fun show lined up with Monster Jam and also the Gator Nationals paying a visit, along with more football talk. We'll see if anything else happens. And we do remind you, a lot of Calvin Ridley talk to start the show today, really in the first hour. The Jags can still be trying to hammer out this deal if they want. How bad do they want it? Well, we'll soon find out. I think everybody now believes that Ridley will be a free agent next week.
How do we feel about Teal Team Click?
Teal Team Click.
Like Teal Team 6, but, SEAL Team 6.
I'm out.
No?
And for that reason.
Better than Sack Monsters, though.
That's true.
There
better than that.
You got a low bar.
Starting the bar.
You have a low bar. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us, Brent and Austen Show. And we'll do it again tomorrow, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. And check out CBS 47 and Fox 30 all evening long.